Welcome to Doctor on Call with your host, DocGriffon. The doctor will be with you momentarily. Our guest this evening is YouTube personality Tennessee Marine. Health warning. Consuming alcoholic beverages damages the young, developing brain. Until you are of legal drinking age, Pope Del Taco and the Taconostate recommend blazing blunts during this interview. DocGriffon, paging DocGriffon, you're needed in the OR. Stat.
And thank you very much, Nurse Wicked. And I'd like to welcome everybody who's come out tonight. Tonight, on the chart is kind of a, it's kind of a delicate case. Our guest tonight, from other diagnoses, seems to be suffering from a case of PTSD, post-traumatic stream drama. And we're going to take a look at this. We do encourage the chat to, of course, get their questions ready for the next hour. But for right now, we need to dig in. We need to get serious. And we need to talk to the one, the only unique personality of YouTube, our friend Tennessee Marine. How are you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I would also like to say, if you are underage, please stay away from alcohol and just smoke weed. It's healthier for you. It'll make you be nicer. It'll make you laugh. It'll make you horny, happy, and hungry. Much better than alcohol. But if you do happen to be over the age of 20 and you're 21, please enjoy your adult beverages tonight, as some topics may get heavy from time to time. So how are you doing, Doc? Thanks for having me.
I am doing great, and I'm happy that that became a papal decree. So everyone in the chat needs to listen and needs to follow, because the Taconostate will definitely rise. And if you're not with the Taconostate, then it's going to be sad business. But now I know we've had, I will say this to the chat, we've had a lot of conversations. We have talked quite a bit off streams, just in Discords. And I always found you to be a fascinating person just to have a conversation with. I know I've joked about this a lot, that I think that Tennessee needs to have his own talk show, because he's interesting, he's engaging, and there's not a lot of shit that gets passed around. And that's one of the things that I appreciate about you. Now, the unique thing is the fact that you are the kind of person who literally has no content on YouTube besides what you contribute to other content providers. And we'll get to that. But one of the things that I really want to know, because I'm always interested in origins. I'm a big comic book fan. I'd like to know where everybody came from. So, to you, what was your actual first memory as a kid?
Oh, wow. Well, what brain cells haven't been killed by, a couple years of drinking and some other substances? Yeah, I think one of my first earliest memories as a kid was actually helping my mom and my grandmother and grandfather plant a garden. We actually own a little bit of property in East Tennessee, where I was born and raised, and I used to carry these big plastic jugs full of water down to a garden. I would have one in one hand and one in the other, I don't know, maybe 5, 6 years old. And I would just be, down the hill trying to get to the garden to try to help them, plant tomatoes and corn and stuff like that. But yeah, I guess that was my, one of my earliest childhood memories as a real little kid was, getting a fascination for, doing hard work and actually making something grow and actually tending to something.
And so did you have dreams of following in the footsteps, becoming a farmer? Or I know when you get to that elementary school level, they're always asking you, what do you want to be when you grow up? What answer did you have for them?
Well, I mean, I've always been the type of person, even as a young kid, like I didn't really like picking fights and being a bully and stuff like that. In fact, if I saw anybody hurting someone or messing with someone, I'd be the type of kid, who would try and jump in and try and defend the weaker kid, even though I was, short and skinny and, not that big my own damn self, but I'd still stand up to bullies and shit like that because I guess I've never really liked seeing the weaker guy get picked on, if that made sense. And I actually, up until the age of around 12, I actually thought I was going to be a police officer there for the longest time.
So, what kind of changed your mind?
Well, when I was 12 years old, I'm a bastard. I'll go ahead and admit it to you. It's the correct term to use. I was born out of wedlock. My dad, my biological father, my sperm donor was kind of a piece of shit, and he never helped raise me. But I was raised by my mother and her parents, my mom and my grandmother. When I was 12 years old, my grandfather passed away. Kind of, died in my arms, and we the ambulance came and took him to the hospital. We followed behind him. My mother actually came up to a four-way intersection. It was like, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the morning. This was back when my town was actually a little town. And she ran a red light. Literally the only person on the car or on the street at the time. A state trooper pulled her over. My mom bawling her eyes out, my grandmother in the front seat just kind of in shock. And this state trooper proceeded to cuss out my mother in front of 12-year-old me. And since then, I kind of had a very anti-authority lean to, the way I deal with stuff and the way I deal with authority figures. And after he did that shit, I was very anti-cop for a number of years. I was definitely the kid with like the anarchy hoodie and, fuck the police type shit. But I later grew out of that. But after that went on, I had no intention of being a police officer. So that kind of ended it for me.
So if somebody were to walk into your high school when you were, 16, what kind of kid would they see?
At 16, God, dude, I was a long-haired skater, goth kid. Really, I mean, that was basically me. I was always hanging out with, the heavy metal crowd, the skateboarders, the losers, quote unquote. I liked sports growing up, and I was, kind of athletic as a kid, just by having to do manual labor and shit from the time I was 12. Because once my grandfather passed away, it fell upon me to do all of the yard work. And we got about 40 acres roughly where I live.
Wow.
And 10 acres of which you have to maintain. And that means chainsaws, axes, cutting down trees, cutting down bushes, push mowing yards, weed eating, digging ditches. I had to do all that from the time I was 12. I really didn't, get out and party and do dumb shit as a teenager. I worked. Like every time it was summertime, my ass was outside in no less than 80 or 90 degree heat working my ass off every summer, But I mean, it instilled, in me a work ethic, and, I didn't get along with the preppy kids, whose mom and dad had a little bit of money and they could, buy them the really expensive clothes and all that kind of shit. I was like rocking a pair of Wrangler jeans and some, cheap Chinese anarchy hoodie and maybe like a Metallica or Korn t-shirt. So I didn't hang out with like the preppy dudes and the football players and shit like that, even though I would go and play, football in the backyard with all my buddies from the nearest neighborhood. So.
And I'm always curious about this. What was the first concert that you ever went to?
Oh God, I was in the Marines. It took a long time for me to go to an actual concert. When I was in the Marines, I was stationed in Jacksonville, North Carolina, on Camp Lejeune.
I know it.
Yeah, the shit town. If you're not in the Marines, or you don't have family in the Marines, that is definitely a spot on the map you would like to avoid. It is literally nothing but a mall, a shit ton of strip clubs, bars, banks, and a McDonald's. It's not a great town. It's very much a military town for those of you who've not ever been there. But yeah, it was there was this fake Irish pub that they had. I think it was called Hooligans. Yeah, that was the name of it, I believe. And on the weekends, or well, excuse me, throughout the week, they would have like a dance side of the pub, and then a bar, and then a couple of pool tables, couple billiards tables, to shoot pool and shit.
Uh-huh.
Every once in a while there would be a couple of bands that would come through, and they would convert the indoor dance club area into an indoor like concert stage and shit. And I believe my first ever concert was I got to see like In This Moment and fuck. God, there's this other band. Have you ever heard the song "I'm Fine in the Fire"? I feed on the friction. Don't try to change me. You know that song? I can't remember the band.
No. Chat, help us out.
I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, it was like them and In This Moment and some other, like a couple other like minor bands from the local area. But yeah, that was my first concert. I was like 19, 18 at the time, I believe.
Oh, can I share my shame with you?
Sure.
The first concert I ever went to was Journey.
Oh, wow. You aged yourself like a motherfucker, dog.
1978. My brother bought the tickets. It's like, you're going to go to a concert with us. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I mean, even being the tyke, I'm like, Journey, really? Can I have something cool? But tickets were free. Anyway.
Oh yeah, and by the way, Colleen already answered it after I looked it up in the live chat. Yes, it was 10 years. It was 10 years In This Moment and a couple of other like tiny bands in this really cramped, dark, like converted from a dance club indoor concert area. But dude, it was awesome. It cemented my love of heavy metal music and live shows. Because there's a big difference between listening to something, on YouTube or on a MP3 or something like that, and actually, being there like so close you can, feel the bass in your chest and you can feel the drums in your heartbeat, that type of shit. Fucking fell in love with music, never gonna fall out of love.
Well, and yeah, I mean, I can say it's definitely one of those concerts are a visceral experience unless you're, watching Rush. Because Rush sounds the exact same on stage as they do on the album.
Well, I wouldn't know. I don't think I've ever been alive long enough to see them in concert. I don't believe. Sorry,
breaking my balls and not even 15 minutes in. Okay. Hey, now I'm just trying to picture you sitting across from your guidance counselor. It's your final year in high school. What are they telling you? What are they saying that your vocation should be?
Well, that's kind of the thing, Doc. I got kicked out of my actual high school in high school. Actually, I was not allowed to actually go to my actual high school. I was put in a school for gang members, juvenile delinquents, people who like to play hooky one too many times, and yeah. So I didn't do the whole like normal high school thing. Like I got kicked out of my high school in I want to say maybe sophomore year or maybe freshman going into sophomore, somewhere around in there. But I don't know, like I got to the point to where I guess I got at that age where I'd been working, since 12 after my grandfather passed away, and I was a nice kid. Like I would stick up for people, but I never started shit, if that makes sense. And yeah. I got to the point to where I was just, around 14, 15 maybe. And I was just like, fuck this. I'm fighting all of these pussies and I don't give a goddamn. So that's exactly what I started doing. And, when all of your principals and assistant principals and all that are all members of the coaching staff for your football team and your football team doesn't suck and it's high school level and some of those kids could go into college and actually make something of themselves and you end up breaking the star quarterback's nose during a fist fight, they don't tend to look kindly on that when you're some long-haired black pants wearing fucking Slipknot t-shirt wearing fucking skater dude. They're like, nope, you can get the fuck out of our high school and go to this it was called Alternative Learning Center. And you would literally walk in, a police officer would wand you with a metal detector, and you would stay in a little cubicle all day, made of like homemade of like really shitty wood, and you had to like stare at the wall, and you couldn't talk to no one, you couldn't do shit, you just had to do the work that they would assign you from your individual school. And I did that for, I don't know, couple of months, and then they were like, because there was two different kinds. There was temporary and permanent. Temporary was like I just described. Permanent is where you went there for the entire school year. I had, by the time I got in that fist fight, I'd already had some time scheduled on the books, I guess. and and they were like, the only cool assistant principal I had was kind of like, Daniel, like, look, you're a good kid and all, but like you've already got like 40 days scheduled and temporary. Would you just want to go for the rest of the year and go to permanent? It's kind of different. You can actually talk to people. You can move around. You don't have to sit in a desk 24/7. And I was like, sure, fuck it. Why not? Send me there. I'll go the rest of the school year. And it was actually really cool because my history teacher actually turned out to be a Vietnam vet, a Marine. And I think he's one of the main reasons why I decided to join the Marine Corps. This guy was like, wicked smart, like sharp as a tack. Like he was one of those dudes that you meet throughout your life randomly who can just pull out any little piece of information about history or about science or anything and just tell you like the date it happened, the person who said it, the person who invented it, like all that type of crazy shit. Plus, he was just a badass motherfucker, like one of those old dudes that you meet and you just know not to fuck with them.
Well, and as a sidebar, let's talk a little bit about the importance of mentorship at that age.
I mean, I hung out with mostly older dudes who were, doing stuff that I had never, done or anything like that. So I didn't really have any any, I guess, male role models. I kind of had to become my own, you know what I mean? But, before my grandfather passed away when I was 12, he did teach me the fundamentals of what it means to be a man, to be a man of your word, to, make that mean something, to not use people, to not lie to people, to actually be a stand-up guy, and that, that's something that no one can ever take away from you. You might be poor, you might not have as much money as other people, but at the end of the day, if you're a man of your word and you actually hold true to that, people recognize that and people gravitate towards that. And sometimes that'll save you when nothing else will. He also taught me about, being a gentleman, to women, and actually realizing that women aren't, regardless of what the internet will try to tell you, women aren't these, fragile, creatures, who need protecting. They're just, they're different, and they, he sort of broke it down to me like, if you're married or if you ever get married, he used to tell me this all the time. He's like, if you ever get married, son, your wife should never have to break her back if you're capable of doing that for her. Like, that's what a man's job is supposed to be. It's not because women are weaker or they can't do what a man can do and all that other dumb shit. It's just simply that women should be cherished in a way, because I could impregnate every good looking woman on the world. I'll never be able to create life within my body. And he tried to, without getting into the birds and bees conversation, he sort of tried to say that, women are different and they're special and you should cherish them. So,
well, and not to go off on a side tangent here, but how important do you think that the mentorship process is right now, and do you think that it's lacking in the current generations?
Well, I think people try to latch on nowadays to anyone who's older than them if they've never grown up with a strong male role model, especially for young men. Not to get on politics or anything like that. Just it's more of society that there's this toxic masculinity and blah blah blah, and it's like, well, you wonder why we got all these shitty guys running around doing shitty things, it's because they've never had a guy who actually taught them how to be a man, And I feel like, especially nowadays, people, especially young men, will gravitate towards older guys who aren't necessarily the best influences. I mean, you look at certain communities in, the hood or the ghetto or whatever, and it's like, no wonder kids grow up to be gangbangers or fucking drug dealers. Even, in my neck of the woods, it's mostly fucking white people, and they do the exact same shit. You grow up seeing this guy who's got money and, quote unquote power and influence, and they say, well, fuck it, I haven't got anybody else to look up to. I'm going to try and be like that guy. And then they follow down the exact same footsteps that guy goes, which is 9 times out of 10 jail or death. Or they, dye their hair blue and, hold up signs that say, I apologize for my penis or some shit.
Well, and I'll be honest with you, because I've always felt that environment always plays a heavy role in this. And it's basically who taught you how to hustle. And by hustle, I don't mean just trying to cheat people out, but basically making your living, getting by. And there are people who teach a hustle that has no morals to it whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people who are like, listen, if you're going to do this, you got to do this, this, and this. You got to be stand up. You got to do this. This is what your hustle is. So I never hold the word hustle in a bad light. It's just, that's the easiest way I've been able to explain to people that it doesn't make a difference, where you were born. It was who taught you what to do, how you do.
Right. Well, I mean, I would look at that like hustle is a good term to describe it, but I would look at it more of just along the terms of survival. There's not a lot of people out there left to teach, younger guys or even women for that matter, like, hey, this is how you gotta, you're gonna struggle through life. Like, we're not fucking Donald Trump's kids. We're not Bill Gates' kids. We ain't got money. You're gonna have to, balance a budget. You're gonna have to actually show up to work. You're gonna actually have to work harder than mostly everybody else because you haven't got shit to fall back on.
Well, I can understand that also. I personally, and this is just me on my soapbox, I think that big thread of moral fiber that runs through the backbone of a lot of people nowadays is one of the things that is absent. I mean, because I know my grandfather was my role model because my dad wasn't here.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just like, you know what? The only thing you've got left at the end of the day is your word.
Yep.
And if you break your word, you're worth nothing.
Yep. 100%, man. 100%.
So,
well, I mean, to go back to what you were saying just for a bit, because this just popped up in my head.
Go for it.
I kind of feel like most people nowadays, like, especially in my generation, I'll be 28, this December. And the thing that I've noticed the most with my generation, at least, is that they feel the need to, instead of showing up earlier and working harder, they want to show up later and be lazy and just fuck people over in order to get ahead. You know what I mean? Like, people think that by taking advantage of someone else or doing someone dirty, they're going to get a momentary, upper hand against this person. And that's just as good as doing harder work or showing up sooner and being better than the competition. There's a lot of backstabbing, lazy, shady shit that goes on in most areas of, entertainment or, sports or anything else, or just day-to-day business.
I can certainly understand that. I know I preach incessantly about making sure that you got good pecs, which is my acronym for passion, effort, and commitment. And if you have those 3 things, you can do anything. And I have a hard time believing that participation trophy kids are given this availability. They're given the room to fail so they can succeed later, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, I mean, if you never understand what it's like to fail, you're never going to understand what it's like to actually achieve. You know, like that. I mean, whether it's like fighting or competition or anything, like you got to take some licks every once in a while. You got to get your ass beat to know what you're made of. You know, whether it's business or fighting or life in general. You know, if you always get a participation trophy or you always get, you know, like, oh, you came in last place, but it's still okay. Like, here's your little, you know, copper, you know, trophy for you. Don't feel bad. You're just as good as the other kids. No, fuck that. Like, you need to fail in order to get that, you know, fire within yourself and that motivation to actually say, you know, fuck that. I don't ever want to feel like this again. I'm going to show up before everybody else, work my fucking ass off, and be better than everybody and actually earn, you know, that first place trophy or that promotion or that, you know, internship at that job or, you know, good grades in college or whatever it might be. And people just think that, you know, just because, you know, we've grown up in this generation of, you know, false significance that that's going to carry them through life when it really isn't, you know. It
Yeah.
might in some places, but in most places it really fucking won't.
And humanity was built on competition, more so with themselves, or versus nature, to be able to strive, to achieve, to survive, to keep a family alive. And I think with all the technology that's around right now, a lot of people are kind of losing that because they have to put in less effort.
Yep, people have definitely become soft. You know, I mean, like I said earlier, man, like from the time I was 12 years old, I was basically the man of the house. Like I was outside working every single summer, every winter when something would break or bust or something needed done. I was the one doing it at 12. Like I didn't have no fucking go out and hang out with my buddies in a parking lot and smoke weed and, you know, hit on girls and shit. Like, bitch, I had to work tomorrow. like like I actually had to get up and do shit. You know, I've never not been working even as a kid all the way up until now. I've always either had a job or I've always had to do shit. I've always had responsibilities. And, you know, I kind of feel like you can be in competition with other people and that's perfectly fine. But at the end of the day, every last one of us should be in a competition with ourselves. Like every single day, you should try to wake up and better yourself, whether it's mentally, you know, spiritually, if you believe in that stuff, or physically. Like if you sit there and just, you know, be static your entire life, you're not going to grow, you're not going to improve yourself, you're not going to achieve anything besides what you've already achieved.
And I cannot disagree with that at all. As a matter of fact, Jack T. Rippers in the chat right now, he said competition breeds excellence.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I cannot disagree with that.
And it's also a competition with yourself. Like, I mean, if you, like, don't get me wrong, I've met some people who have a pretty high fucking opinion of themselves. We all have. But no matter what kind of self-inflated ego you might have, everybody has room for improvement. You know, like the moment you stop learning or the moment you stop improving, you're dead. You might as well just, you know, just lay down and take a dirt nap. You're not improving. You're not changing. You're not making yourself a better person or, you know, trying to improve on some aspect of yourself.
Yeah, because honestly, if you've got kids, the one thing that you want to make sure is instill, you don't want them to have to work as hard as you did, but you do want to instill the thought that, hey, I had to work this hard. You might have to do this too. So knuckle down.
Oh yeah, dude. Like if I woke up tomorrow with like Bill Gates's money and, you know, I met some fucking hot little model who wanted to marry me for my money and, you know, put a couple of kids in her. Like I would still be like, "All right, you little bastards, listen. You're going to weed eat, you're going to push mow the yard, and you clean the fucking, you know, the fucking house, you know, paint that bitch. Pressure wash it. Get to going. Get to working. You want your $5 allowance? Get out there and work like I did."
Wait, and honestly, nobody can tell you what your threshold is. You have to find that out for yourself. You have to be able to push yourself to you know, the brink of exhaustion or you know, detriment itself. because I don't know anybody who isn't a creative or an expressive person, or at least a successful person who has not followed that rule to push themselves.
Right. Well, I mean, not only that, but that's one of the things I loved about joining the Marine Corps and, the infantry specifically is it was a constant push to be better every single day. Like every day we're waking up, putting, 80 pounds on our back, and we're going to go run a couple miles, and we're going to do some calisthenics, and we're going to do some CrossFit type shit. And we're going to work out, and then, take a shower, and let's learn how to kill people effectively in war, and, it's one of those things like, if you have the mindset of, seeking self-improvement, you can push yourself, but when you surround yourself with people who are all on the same level as you, that's why I don't hang out with shady motherfuckers in real life or online. I have no time for it. I have no patience for it. And I do not suffer fools. And I don't suffer lazy, shady fucking cunts either. I want to surround myself with people who are here to be entertaining, who are here to fucking work, and who are here to improve themselves or, their product or whatever it is that it's their thing. I want people who want to improve that as much as possible, who push themselves, who allow me to help push them, and who push me to do better and greater things. Because if you surround yourself with a bunch of weak, lazy people, you're going to fall down that exact same road as they do. But if you surround yourself with a bunch of savage, hardcore, motherfuckers, you're all going to push each other and try to reach a better level than what, even yourself would have thought possible.
Church, brother, church. I since it's the bottom of the hour, I do want to make sure, if this is your introduction to Tennessee Marine, he is literally the Leatherneck Ninja. He will pop up in chats and also guest on shows. He does not have any type of channel to speak of. Don't think he wants one. We'll talk about that later. Excuse me, but
no, I'm just sitting here thinking Leatherneck Ninja. That would have been such a better name than Tennessee Marine. God damn it! Why couldn't I thought of that?
But and we can talk about the difference between a soldier and a leatherneck later. But he will appear from time to time. Certainly, the only thing that I have to link is his Twitter. He drops some nuggets of wisdom there. So please feel free to go ahead and sub to him. And in the interim, since he doesn't have a channel, this is something new that I'm doing. There are also other people out there who are just as dynamic, just as entertaining. Take a moment out during the show, if you would, or at the very end of the show. And please sub to the 3 people that I have down in the chat. I've got, or in the chat description, I've got Blackout by Dawn, The Killing Joke, and Irate Prostate. All 3 of these people create some incredible content that is just criminally undersubbed. So if you have the time, if you have the ambition, just check them out. If you think I'm wrong, then hey, look down there. My Twitter is right there. You can always write me back and tell me I'm an ass. As a matter of fact, if this is your first time listening, and there's somebody that you would like to hear me interview, I am always open. My DMs, I think, are still open, but please do make sure, if you've got a suggestion of somebody that you think that I should be interviewing, I am completely open to it. And I always want to hear from the people who are watching, because honestly, I did this to cure my insanity from 4 years of being housebound, but you people are my fuel. You're the driving force. If there's somebody that you want to hear from, even if it's somebody I'll probably never get, that doesn't mean I won't ask. And since we're at the bottom of the hour, I must say, I must give a shout out to our ERTSAT sponsor, New Amsterdam Vodka. And tonight, the drink is New Amsterdam Pineapple Vodka mixed with Sunny D. And I call that the Tropical Ghetto Screwdriver. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have your adult intoxicants, please go ahead, raise your glasses, and take a shot with me for our guest, Tennessee Marine. New Amsterdam vodka. The kind of vodka you want to buy when you only have $13.
Sláinte.
Now, I've been kind of saving this because let me just say this. I've had a lot of people, and a lot by my standards, of course. I'm no PewDiePie, but I've had a lot of people DM me privately and say, well, are you guys going to talk about his military experience? Because he's never actually really gone into it and talked about it. And that's one of the things that I asked you right up front. So leading into this, and Uzi Q, you're right. It is disgusting, but that's the drink that I'm stuck with tonight.
It's disgusting, but after a couple of shots, you don't mind.
Yeah, after a while, it's like, why am I mixing these two together? Why don't I just start pounding shots?
Yeah, exactly. The same shit happens to me every time I make screwdrivers. I'm like, this is awful tasty, but fuck the orange juice. Just give me the bottle of vodka. Let's go all in here, folks.
I've already drank 5 of these, so I think I got my vitamin C already. Just give me a shot.
At least you're being healthy while getting intoxicated, Doc. Truly,
yeah.
Truly.
Now, I want to know, because to me, the meat of the meal is what drives people to do what they do. So you got your education done. Mm-hmm. When was the crystallization of the moment where you said, yeah, I'm going to go into the service? And more specifically, why did you pick becoming a Marine?
Well, when I, like I said, when my grandfather passed away in my arms when I was 12, and I had to sort of be the man of the house and take care of everything. I was very young when September 11th happened, and I know this sounds like, sort of a, story you've heard a million times on a million interviews, but, it's sincere to me. And when I was in middle school at the time, about to go into high school. So, when September 11th happened, I was still on that verge of, not a teenager, not exactly a kid. But I remember the day it happened. They called us out of school. Our teacher at the time told us, hey, don't tell any of the younger kids what's going on. It might scare them. Just, go home and be with your family. I actually went home. My mom picked me up from school. We went to a friend of hers house who had this huge TV, one of those huge old boxy things that just took up like the entire wall back when, TV still had a back to them. One of those things, one of those monstrosities. Right. And like I remember sitting there watching, news footage of, guys jumping out of buildings and, so that way they, didn't get burned alive and everything. And for the first time in my entire life, like I'd seen my parents cry, at my grandfather's funeral and, other things, but I'd never seen them truly afraid like that. And
Okay.
I said to myself at an early age, I was like, if I can do anything to make my mom and grandma never afraid like they were on September 11th, I'm going to do it. So I looked at, all the military branches and I was like, fuck that. I want to go fight. And I'd heard a lot about the Marines growing up. This is even before I met my high school history teacher, who was a Vietnam vet, who was a Marine. I said, I looked at their slogan, honor, courage, commitment, first to fight and all these other things. And, I was like, you know what? Fuck yeah, dude. Like if this is the hardest branch of service and, it's the smallest branch, they can get sent to war by, direct permission from the president to go and act in events that doesn't even need congressional approval. I was like, I'm fucking ready to fight. Fuck these jihadi terrorist motherfuckers. Like, let's go get it done. And from then on, from about 13 till the time I graduated, especially after I met my history teacher, who was a Vietnam vet, I was all in for the Marines, and I was like, I don't want to go see the world in the Navy. I don't want to be on a ship. I want to have my ass in the sand, and I want to go kill terrorists. That's the only fucking thing I want to do. And I graduated in '09 from high school in June, and by July I was in Parris Island, South Carolina, for Marine Corps boot camp.
Oh yeah. Yep. See, I know all these places because I spent many a year down in Mint Hill, North Carolina. So you could not drive, 20 miles without bumping into a base of some sort.
Yep. Yep. I had my ass in the swamp learning how to kill. But yeah, I mean, I made it through boot camp. I did my thing. Got out of the Marines, or got out of boot camp, went to School of Infantry, Camp Geiger, North Carolina. And it was also located in Jacksonville. Got done with that and hit the Fleet Marine Force in December of '09.
What was your specialist?
0311 rifleman. I was as we like to call it in the Marines, I was a do everything. I trained in machine guns. I knew how to work a mortar system, but my specialty was kicking indoors and laying down laying rounds down range, and just being, your standard grunt, basically.
So essentially first boots on the ground.
Yeah. I got done with School of Infantry in '09. I hit the actual Marine Corps, my actual unit, and we went on Christmas and New Year's leave as soon as I hit the fleet. We came back in January of 2010. I had turned 19 years old in December at the time. Came back, and Haiti had their really bad earthquake in 2010.
Yeah.
And my unit was activated, and we got the go-ahead to deploy. I had literally spent all of maybe 2, maybe 3 weeks in the actual Marine Corps until my ass was already deployed. We went from Jacksonville, North Carolina to Morehead City, North Carolina, got on the USS Carter Hall, and we sailed from North Carolina all the way down to Haiti. And we got there so quickly. I mean, the Army got there before us, but they cheated. They used fucking planes. They flew. So fuck those cheating bastards. We had to get on a ship. We had to get on a fucking ship and sail. All right. They took planes. It doesn't count. We technically got there first by sea. So, fuck the airborne. No, I'm just kidding. I like those guys. I worked with a couple of them over there. But
hey, now, my brother was 82nd. So
I know everyone's 101st and 82nd. I know. It's some inter branch rivalry. We're all brothers. But yeah, dude, we got down there and the fucking island was still on fire. That's how quickly we got there. It only took less than a week to sail from North Carolina all the way down to Haiti.
Well, no, I'm really curious about this, and I'm sure there are other people in the chat that are curious about it too. How do you approach a situation that is non-combatant?
Well, I mean, technically speaking, in military terms, it's called a humanitarian aid mission. That's even one of the fucking ribbons and medals I was awarded for my service there. But it's one of those things, your day-to-day thing is offloading humanitarian MREs. They're kind of like the MREs that the U.S. forces uses, only they're designed for longer lasting. They can survive in water longer, stuff like that. It's for, natural disasters and shit of that nature. They're just like a super MRE, if you will.
Yeah. Actually, just to be a sidebar real quick, we're negotiating to get Steve 1986 MRE on to talk about why he wants to eat, 50-year-old MREs.
Well, hey, man, I'm telling you, you might think it's full of shit, but so long as the package itself isn't damaged, those motherfucking things will last forever. They're so chock full of preservatives and everything else. They're some of the best shelf-stable food source you could ever buy. If you so happen to be a prepper or something like that. But
my brother used to bring me home MREs all the time.
Oh yeah, dude. They last. And if you're in a situation like I am, where you live in the boondocks and stuff like that, and the power goes out or some really bad storms happen, you might be fucked for several weeks. So I mean, it's not even like, fucking Obama is going to take away all the guns, man. We need to build a bunker underneath my house full of, fucking MREs and guns and rebel flags and shit. Ah, like, no, like it's just good. It's common sense to have food and water and batteries and shit like that at your house in case some shit goes down. That
I
just,
know. I got I got me a couple banked myself just in case, because the
oh yeah,
ghetto is chronic with losing power.
yeah, same here, man. I'm Jack T. Ripper. Go Navy. Semper Fi, Jack. Semper Fi. Hoorah.
Jack starting shit again.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Love you still.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love Jack too. That's all right. I had the most expensive taxi service in the world. It's called the United States Navy. But but yeah, dude. So yeah, to finish the story, I guess we sail down there. The island's still on fucking fire. We anchor right outside the island, and for 1 or 2 days there's like Haitians in these really dinky rowboats coming up and being like, como huele, you food, hello, and we're like, motherfucker, no, like get the fuck away from the boat, what are you doing, like, no, stop this. We had to get like, our interpreters and shit out there to just be like, no, bad, we will come to you eventually, go back to the fucking island, please. But the first time, it was actually, a pretty cool experience. At least I didn't think so at the time, but looking back on it, the first time I ever rode in any airplane, in any helicopter, was my Haiti deployment. There was a helicopter that landed on the ship, and we took it from ship to shore. So the first time I'd ever been in any flying, vehicle, or any ever been in the air like that, was literally, I took a helicopter from ship to shore on a Navy vessel and landed in Haiti. And yeah, from then on, it was, a couple of really shitty experiences, which, I can talk about if the chat and if people would like to know. It's kind of a downer, but it's brutally honest and realistic, and it's a story I've never told. But for the most part, it was just security, peacekeeping operations, humanitarian aid operations. We would, every single fucking day, in like, God, like maybe 117-degree weather with 100% humidity, a helicopter would land on our LZ, and we would just have to unload crates and crates and crates full of humanitarian MREs and water and medical supplies. And just, it was, when we weren't, posting security, it was literally, you're working all day because these helicopters are landing, in 3 or 4 hour intervals, from sun up to sundown, until the sun goes down, and then you might get to sleep for a little while.
And how long was your deployment?
We were only there a little under 3 months, I believe. We it was actually quite funny. I should technically have a sea service ribbon or something like that, but I think I would, like, our unit was like 1 or 2, like a petty amount of number of days, and I guess some of the guys didn't get their sea service ribbon because of it. But we were like a cunt hair away from getting our sea service ribbons, but it didn't count, and it's one less thing I had to buy to put on my dress blue. So I wasn't that pissed off about it, I guess. But yeah, roughly about 3 months.
And you weren't there to trick out your official uniform. You were there to do your job.
Right. Well, I mean, you have to look at this from, the perspective of, 19-year-old me. At 19 years old, I was, fucking full of piss and vinegar. Like, I was not only a 19-year-old kid, but I was also a Marine Corps infantryman. I was a rifleman at 19. Like, I knew how to effectively wage war against, a enemy combatant. I had already, I was on deployment for the first time, and I hadn't even been in the actual Marine Corps for, more than a month, and I thought I was fucking Superman in dress blues. I thought I was going to save the fucking world. And, you get there, and one of the first things that actually happened to me while I was there, and, get your drinks ready, folks, because this might be a little bit rough. So feel free to tune out if you have to, especially if you're, if you got kids or something like that, I could understand. But one of the first things that actually happened when we got there, we took we took a helicopter from ship to shore. We landed at the LZ, and we, ripped with the people that were already there. The unit that was already there, and we, we replaced them, and we stood post for, maybe a day or two, and actually had had this mother bring her like 4 or 3-year-old little daughter to our LZ with her guts hanging out, crying, screaming. This kid was, screaming and crying and everything else, and she's trying to sit there and say, our interpreters interpreted, basically the mom was just screaming, "Help my baby." Corpsman that was on site tried to help. There was really no helping her. She was basically dead by the time that mother had brought her to our LZ. I was actually standing security at the time on the outer perimeter of the LZ, so she actually brought this kid to me first. I, picked her up, and, I was trained in, basic first aid at that point, but not to the level that I was able to do anything.
Sure.
And, our corpsman did the best he could, given the situation. And she actually died on the LZ. After our corpsman basically told our interpreter to tell the mother that, there's nothing we can do. Your little girl is dead. She just kind of picked up her kid and walked down the road and eventually out of sight. So yeah, that was in like in like the first week of being there, actually in country. I've been on, we would go on mounted patrols and Humvees, and we would go to, villages to try and give out humanitarian aid and give, water and food to the local, people who were hurting the most. Because where we were at in Haiti, it was actually, I guess, like the boondocks, you could say. It was the very rural, very poor part of Haiti, even more so than, like Port-au-Prince and places that are their capital.
Gotcha.
So for those of you who don't know, Haiti is very jungle. Like it's beautiful fucking country. It really is, man. It was mountains, and it's like the mountains of North Carolina and the Smoky Mountains, only like the Amazon. It's like, rolling mountains and beautiful vistas, but it's just, it looks like the Amazon jungle. It's all jungle shit, but just hills. It's actually quite beautiful. But we would go out there and on a mounted patrol, just seeing who need help the most. And
just to pause here for a real quick second. Laura and Jessica, I don't know if he actually knows how she actually got hurt like that, but that's one of the questions that both of them are actually asking. If you had any idea how the child actually got hurt.
Well, I think if I remember this correctly, there was a lot of stuff I've blocked out since then, to be fair. But if I remember correctly, I think I heard later that there had been like aftershocks and shit like that after the initial earthquake hit, and there was still some like aftershocks that had caused houses and shit like that to fall down, and people didn't realize it because the actual earthquake that caused all of it eventually was over with, but there were still some like after tremors and shit like that. And I believe someone said that it was one of those things I heard in passing that, like, hey, Franklin, you remember, that girl that we lost at the LZ? And I was like, yeah, Sergeant. And he was kind of like, well, this is her village. They made it past the earthquake, but they had aftershocks, and, they had, shit fall on them and houses that fell down and shit. So I don't know 100% if that's what happened. I do know that, that was my first week there when that lady brought her like 3-year-old daughter there. And I don't know how she got hurt. I just know that she had gotten hurt after the initial earthquake, if that makes sense.
Well, and a lot of casualties of war happen like that, where you just don't know. You see the aftermath.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we would go out to places, like I said, and we would be on a mounted patrol, and we would see a stack of, concrete bricks that had, fell down and collapsed, and like a human arm sticking out with a dog eating it. Yeah. Just a stray doggy. I couldn't tell you how many times I would be on mounted patrol and be in the turret gunner position and see just, dead bodies in ditches just left there to decompose and shit, with maggots crawling out of their fucking face and shit. Like, these people were poor, and like they didn't even have the money or have the ability to, bury their dead. So yeah, it was pretty fucking rough, man.
That can definitely crush the soul. I did want to make sure and let the chat know that the Q&A is coming up at the top of the hour. We got a couple of minutes before that happens. Please do feel free, load your questions in, and we will be happy to get those passed over so we can have Tennessee Marine answer those questions for you. And just to make sure, if you do want to follow along with Tennessee and his words of wisdom, you can always find him on Twitter. Please do feel free to drop down in the description box in this video right now. We do say we usually have more things to promote, but since we didn't, I did go ahead and get the okay. There are some great channels out there. Please feel free and sub to these guys. You won't be sorry that you did. Blackout by Dawn, The Killing Joke, and of course Irate Prostate. Their links are in the description. Please go sub to them and hit their notifications. You can always talk to me on Twitter, of course. And I do want to make sure and get this out of the way, because Tennessee, I'll be honest, I suck at this thing with the Streamlabs. Right. I had somebody give $5 last time that said, "Love the show, my man." That was his donor name, and didn't leave any message. And I suspect I know who it is, but I don't have any idea. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. I will say right up front that this is definitely not about me. I find there are incredibly interesting people that I want to have conversations with, and I want to share them with everybody that decides to tune in with us. And I hope you're enjoying the conversation so far. And I'm particularly fascinated, and I don't know how dark this will actually go. But
no, I promise you that's as dark as it's going to go. I was actually going to go to, cool shit after this, but
then please, keep all your hands and feet inside the vehicle as we continue the ride. Now you're done with your deployment from Haiti. Where do you go next?
Well, I'll get to that in just a sec. There was some good that came out of my Haiti experience.
Oh, please feel free.
I did want to at least, say this much. Yeah, it was horrible. I saw a lot of brutal shit. There's no question about it. But seeing people that literally have to eat mud cookies, which is a actual thing that they do. I've seen them roll out mud, pound it into little patties, and put it on concrete and wait for the sun to dry it and eat it. I have actually worked with Canadians over there in Haiti, which might explains why I don't have a disdain for my Canadian buddies that I've met through Twitter and YouTube, because I've actually worked with Canadians over in Haiti. Not only was the earthquake horrible and this country was living in poverty, but the Canadians were actually in charge of medically evacuating people. And they said that for the most part, there was like a 98% of the people that they evacuated tested positive for HIV. So this place was horrible.
Wow.
The good thing about it, though, the best thing that came about it, is it will instill in you a humbleness and a gratitude that nothing else can compare to. When I see people in the States complaining about, oh, my car isn't good enough, or, my house isn't big enough, or this, that, and the third, it's one of those things. Like, I've seen a man, his wife, and his 3 daughters take 4 sticks like you would break off a tree, put it in 4 corners, and wrap a blanket around it that's thinner than the t-shirt I'm wearing right now. And that was their home. Not their apartment, not a place they're renting from. That was where they was going to live for the foreseeable future. And you experience true poverty like that. You experience true hardship like that. And it's so hard to come from a place like that to the States and complain about anything that you're going through, really. Like, don't get me wrong, people have it rough here. I made no mistake about it. I understand that. But until you've ever had to live on dirt in a tent that it's thinner than the t-shirt I'm wearing, with your wife and 3 daughters, not knowing if you're going to be able to have clean water, not knowing if you're going to be able to have food, showers are out of the question. Until you experience something like that, nobody here really has a right to complain. I remember when I first got into my shitty barracks back on base, when I actually was done with the deployment, I was so grateful to just take a hot shower. Like, something as simple as that, actually having running water that was hot. It was like a godsend to me. And that's the one thing I would stress to, or at least try to have people take away from, my experiences over there, is that no matter how hard you think you have it, and I know it seems kind of cliche, to say it, but people in the world truly have it harder in ways that you can't even imagine.
And
But
honestly, just to follow up on that, we've talked. I'm like $140 above the poverty line. I can't buy my medications, and it's hard to make rent from month to month. But you know what? I'm still blessed.
Yep.
Because I have the availability of having a roof over my head, having electricity, being able to go on the internet. I'm spoiled compared to the people that you're talking about.
Yep, we all are. Everyone in this live chat, everyone that, everyone that has an internet connection and a roof over their head and running water are living luxurious compared to these people. But it's just one of those things I would, try to say that people should at least take away from my bad experience over there, is that, if you do think that if you have it rough or whatever, you don't have it as rough as roughly 40% of, human civilization, and that's everywhere. So I would just, I take that with a grain of salt, for what it is. But, whenever you think, you've got it so bad, just imagine that man and his wife and his 3 daughters, and that being their home for the foreseeable future. And it might humble you a little bit. But after Haiti, I came back to the States. I started doing pre-deployment training to go to Afghanistan. I I actually got into some trouble. Go figure. Yeah. It's just one of those things. I mean, when I came back, I was a young cat who had seen a lot of shit that I wasn't used to, and it kind of all piled on me at once. And I turned to drinking as a way to deal with that. Poor decision on my part. Got into some trouble and actually had to switch units because it was one of those things. There were certain people in my unit who we just couldn't work together anymore. I kind of got to the point to where I was drinking and not giving a fuck. And if, you know, if some dude who's a little bit older than me got in my face, it was almost a constant fist fight or something like that. Yeah. But
Gotcha.
but I actually went to Division Training Center. I was actually part of Camp Lejeune's base. I was actually a part of their staff. We were in a little tiny group, and it was all infantry guys. And like I said earlier, it was Division Training Center, DTC for short. It was what it basically was. Is have you ever heard the acronym MOUT?
Sorry, I had sirens going past.
I asked, have you ever heard the acronym MOUT? MOUT.
I have, but I cannot tell you the
Mili-
actual.
it stands for Military Operations in Urban Terrain. Basically, every motivational video you see of dudes kicking in doors and stacking up outside of a wall before they blast it, and they all, sweep in and sweep left, sweep right, down the center, and and clear and all that kind of stuff. All the motivational ass kicking, war fighting, motivational vids that you see. I taught non-infantry Marines how to do that for a good amount of time.
So kind of like a military SWAT.
Yeah, something like that. It's a lot of well, that's one aspect of it, really. There's also the aspect of patrol in urban terrain, setting up an ECP, a VCP. Those are for entry control points or vehicle checkpoints and stuff like that. Teaching people how to search people, how to do a dismounted patrol in a heavily urban area. So yeah, a little bit of the whole like SWAT team member, kicking in a door and doing cool shit like that. But it was a lot more to it than just that. But I taught non-infantry Marines how to do that for about 4 or 5 months, and then I went to another unit. Then I deployed to Afghanistan.
Well, let me just stop you right there. Did you find being an educator fulfilling?
Oh God, dude, I loved it. It was not so much like a power trip or anything, because I was I think I might have been still 19. No, maybe 20. I might have been 20 at the time. Yeah, I think I was actually 19 going on 20 maybe. But yeah, and I was the youngest guy in the room, and I was also the lowest rank. I was like a PFC because I got in that trouble I was telling you about, and I was an E2 at the time in a classroom full of like captains, sergeants, corporals, staff sergeants, and I had a guy that worked with me who would click on a slide, and I would stand up in front of this entire room full of people who outranked me by a lot and teach them how to do infantry shit. And I would teach a class on it. Then I would take them outside and actually show, guys who were older than me and guys who outranked me how to search a person, how to take someone down and judo their ass if they, did some shit. And we would go out into, we actually had this fake urban town that kind of looked like Afghanistan on base called Mount Town. It was this like multi-level, multi-buildings. It was like a fake little town. And I would actually take these guys out and show them how to do like patrolling in an urban terrain, like where to look for snipers, where to look for IEDs. The funnest shit though, the funnest shit I ever did was they have these things called sim rounds. And what it is, it's basically a 9mm bullet that has all of the stuff that'll kill you taken out of it, but the back of it, the actual, base of the bullet itself, the cartridge, if you will, has a hard plastic tip to it, and it's got blue dye or red dye. It depends. Most of the time it's blue, or at least it was for us. And they would have these M16s that were fitted to fire those rounds. You would load it up like you would load a magazine, an M16 magazine full of these simulated rounds. Cock it back. The mechanism worked just like an M16 because it was one. It was just, refitted to shoot those sim rounds. And we would get, in little, airsoft body armor and go out in town, and they had to try and shoot us. And we would do actual, military maneuvers and tactics against these guys. And there was this one area at Mount Town. It was kind of it was down a gravel road, and it was basically a kill house. Like it was 3 levels, including the roof. And the doors, like the walls in it, were these hard wooden doors that you could slide. They were on rails, and you could slide it and lock it from the back. So you could sit there and be in in a corridor, and have one of the instructors like me sit there and pop off a couple rounds, slam that door, lock it shut, and roll around and try and lock you in and shit. And we did quite a lot of exercises where it was just me and like 4 other instructors against like 30 or 40 guys. And we fucking slaughtered these dudes because they weren't infantry Marines. They weren't used to this shit, but that was a blast, to be honest. That was one of the funnest times I've ever had. In fact, when the guys that I had worked with, they were all like twice combat vets. They had done, like, most of the guys had been to Iraq and Afghanistan, some of them multiple times. And they actually, like, when they found out I was going to a different unit and I was going to be deploying to Afghanistan, I was having a few beers with a fellow instructor. Now, I was 21 at the time, but don't judge me so harshly. They knew I was going to Afghanistan, so they let me have a couple beers. Whatever, think what you will. Yeah. All of a sudden, my buddy, we're sitting there in his barracks room, watching something on TV, Netflix or some shit, and he's like, I gotta go take a piss. I'll be right back. One of our other instructors, fucking Connor, he's gonna be here later, man. Make sure to open up the door when he gets here. I was like, all right, man, no problem. Thanks for the beer, by the way. He's like, yeah, sure. So he goes and hits the head. All of a sudden, I hear a knock on the door. I'm like, oh, that must be him, right? I open the door, and 3 guys charge into the room, tackle me to the ground, put a black non-see-through bag over my head, and zip tie my hands behind my back. I'm then put in the back of a car, and I'm led out to where I don't know where. I'm taken, and my hands are behind my back and zip tied. They finally stop the car. They haul my ass out of the trunk of the car. They hang me up like from my hands on the zip ties, and my feet are off the ground. I'm swinging from the air basically at this point. Bag still tied around my head. I can't see shit. I can't hear shit, and I've basically been kidnapped. Well, then they start asking me like, and I could hear their voices, and it sounded familiar, but they was doing like an accent or some dumb shit. Yeah. And all of a sudden they're like, where the fuck are your troops located and shit like that. And they'd be like hitting me in the fucking ribs and shit. And I would just be like, God, like Lance Corporal Franklin. And then I'd give like my social security number, and that was it. And like my rank and the unit I was going to. Then finally they were like, they lifted up the mask past my nose, and they were like, all right, you fucking faggot, now drink this. And it was beer. They took off the fucking mask, let me down, and it was all the instructors that I worked with, like these fucking, these guys who were like 2- and 3-time combat vets, and they threw me a going away party. Nice. And they basically fake kidnapped me just to take me out to Mount Town, and we got to get drunk in like a fake Iraqi town on Camp Lejeune.
Nice. I do want to make sure I'm getting notifications on Twitter as well. I just wanted to share this one. Naomi said, please tell your guests the following. Marine, we are and always will be thankful for men like you. You exhibit the true warrior spirit. I will never take warriors like you for granted. Semper Fi, Marine.
Hoorah. Thank you very much.
That's the brilliance of the people who tune in, because it's not necessarily what they may expect to get, but they're always going to get something that's at least honest. And I know we've got a couple of well, I tell you what, let's go ahead and do the break before we transition over to Afghanistan and get a couple of the chat questions in.
Okay. Cool.
Laura's asking, she wants to know your thoughts on the Clinton Foundation and Haiti and Laura Silsby. Do you know anything about that?
Me personally, no, besides what I've read in, news articles and what I've researched on my own. However, I will say this from firsthand experience. when it comes to the UN and government organizations like that, they are very, very corrupt. Um, hmm, I'm trying to think about what I can say here. A certain government body that is not the United States, instead of distributing humanitarian aid like MREs, water, shit like that, that was given freely and was supposed to be distributed freely, they actually sold it to the people who could pay and could afford to pay for it instead of giving it away for free. I've seen that firsthand.
Almost sounds like Mogadishu.
There was a lot of shady shit going on there, but as far as the whole Clinton Foundation, no. Oh, and by the way, since I brought her up, I fucking love myself. I would never kill myself, and if you ever find me, suicided, you better go after that cunt for me because I didn't do it. All right, just letting y'all know.
Yeah, so don't make friends with Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, you damn right.
Okay, Denny Crane's asking, can you farm insects in that area?
Farm insects.
I'm guessing it's talking about Haiti.
Yeah, farming insects. No, I don't believe you could. But I do know that they tried to raise like small livestock like chickens and shit like that. So some people had food, but some people, got completely destroyed, and the places where they were able to get food or sell food was also destroyed. I mean, you gotta understand, when this thing happened, it was already a very poor, suffering country, and what little they did have, the means in which the shops or the mechanisms in which they got food or supplies or anything else were also heavily damaged. So sometimes they literally didn't have any way to get food into the country if it wasn't for, the United States government and, the UN and places like that. There was nothing, for these people left. So.
And yeah, I mean, literally you're going from almost nothing. You hit an earthquake and you're less than nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's one of those things. I've had conversations with people about what I went through in Haiti, and it's very hard to do. I don't have like a monopoly on pain. I don't have a monopoly on like bad experiences. But there are certain things that you experience in the military that's just going to be, blatantly different than anything a civilian might see. However, anybody who's went through something like Hurricane Katrina or something like that, where not only are people's private property or their homes, not only are those devastated, but everything from food, medicines, supplies, electricity, that's all wiped away. That's all fucking gone. It's one thing for your power to go out and for all the food in the fridge to spoil. It's a completely different thing when fucking Food City or Kroger's power goes out and all of the shit spoils in there. That's not canned, and that's already either been looted or bought or whatever. So it's one of those things. When something like that happens, it fucks everything up. You literally have to survive on your own at that point.
Well, and a lot of people don't realize that there were stories where there were people killing other people during Hurricane Katrina for something as simple as a 24-pack of bottled water.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, man can express inhumanity to man. It doesn't make a difference what part of the globe that you're on.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's one of the good reasons why I like where I live. It's a big enough city to where I can do cool shit in it, but my own personal property, the family land where I live, it's far enough away to where we would not get the brunt of bullshit that would happen in a big urban area because, yeah, people will help people to a certain extent. When it's your daughter, when it's your wife that's starving to death and you've got a 38 pistol and someone's got, a couple of cans of soup, you're taking that fucking soup. You know what I mean? You're getting that fucking ramen. Like, if it's between you and your wife and your kids starving to death and someone else has food and they don't have a gun or they don't have some way to tell you, no, you can't have my food, you're getting it one way or another.
And I don't condone the criminality, but in the severe situations, I understand why it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Jack T. Ripper has asked, did you go through SEER school?
I did not. I did not go through SEER school.
Well, damn, that's a quick answer.
Yep.
And Laura's asking, was the country selling water in the Middle East?
Was the country selling water in the Middle East? Well, when I went to Afghanistan, there was a different kind of shady political bullshit that was going on, but not to the extent that not the level of corruption there was pretty well cemented already in just it being Afghanistan. But no, there wasn't like, this person isn't going to give this village food unless they get paid for it type shit. Not really that I saw.
Gotcha. Now, of course, we will get into Afghanistan. And to all those who had asked me previously in DMs, we are going to talk about his internet career. We're going to get there. But I think it's really important that we're laying the foundation as to the person that you know and love on the YouTubes. So I want to make sure so you got your send off and you're going to Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this. My brother was 82nd Airborne, but he came back later as one of the consultants for khaki.
Oh, nice.
They brought him in, and even in his non-com position, he ran into quite a bit of shit. So my question to you is, what type of expectations did you have when you got there? Was there any fear, any apprehension? What was your frame of mind, as you were getting off your troop transport?
Well, going in, I was 20. I was about to turn 21. In fact, when I actually got to Afghanistan, I turned 21 behind a fully automatic 240 Bravo on post in Afghanistan. So I was still a young kid, but I was excited for it in a weird way. Like, I was like, this is what I've always wanted to do. This is why I signed up for the fucking Corps. This is why I picked infantry. And yeah, there was a bit of like nervousness about it and a little bit of anxiety about it, but it was mostly like, God, like all after 2 or nearly 3 years in the Marine Corps, like I'm finally gonna get to do what the fuck I signed up for. You know what I mean? And I was just ready to get that experience under my belt. And it's not so much of a religious thing for me. It's more of just how my mind works, and everything else. It's whatever's going to happen is going to happen. If this is meant to be my time and I'm meant to go out in a firefight, I'm going to go out. I'm going to fight like hell, and I'm going to make sure whoever is wielding that AK-47 downrange for me is going to fucking at least get shot in the fucking shoulder before he gets me. But I was just I was ready to fucking get it and get it in. I was more excited and anxious to actually do fucking work and that type of shit. But.
Jolly Rogers Bilgewater asked, did you ever meet any one-eyed recon Marines in Afghanistan? You asked.
No, I have not. Although I have had to go on patrol because a recon Marine lost his MVGs out in the desert once. That was fun.
So where did you get put up?
We were in a place called Nawa in southern Helmand province in Afghanistan.
And I don't know, was that a hot zone or?
No, actually, my Afghanistan experience wasn't bad. It was mostly 90% boredom with like 10% like, holy fucking shit, what is this shit? We gotta react to it type stuff. Never got shot at, never got fucking killed, or never had to shoot anybody. Apparently, if I point my M16 at your face, you do what the fuck I tell you to do. And the place where I was actually stationed was actually really well protected. It wasn't a hot zone. So I didn't really do shit. I stood a lot of posts. I worked my ass off on working parties, and that was about it. There was a couple of times I came extremely close to never making it back, but for whatever reason, I just certain of those certain events went down the best avenue possible.
And as far as Afghanistan goes, I'm incredibly curious because I am in no way a bleeding heart, and I'm not looking to prop up the people that were there. But did you have any interactions with the locals?
Oh yeah, plenty. I
What
was
was your
actually
impression?
Well, this is where, this interview is going to bite me in the ass one of these days. My honest, upfront reaction and my opinion of the Afghanistan people is not one that I formed on race or religion or anything else. It's simply the people that I interacted with during my deployment to Afghanistan. And my views do not represent the Marine Corps, the United States military, anybody besides me, Daniel Franklin. That being said, they were for sale, most of them. The village elders, the village leaders, they, if you paid them enough money, they would be your friend for a week. And if the Taliban offered them more money, they would be your enemy next week. They would smile at your face while selling, black tar heroin. I've seen men fuck goats in the middle of the night. That's something I can confirm does happen in the Middle East. I've fucking seen it on post. It's kind of fucking hilarious to see, but gross in the same aspect. But yeah, they were, at the end of the day, they were loyal to the highest bidder, whether it was the ANA, the Afghanistan National Army, whether it was the ANP, the Afghanistan National Police, or whether it was, the regular villagers there. If you gave them money or offered to support them, they'd be your buddy, while simultaneously asking, Taliban members like, hey, the Americans are paying us this much to give them intel and help them out. How much you got? How much you got, Abdul? At the end of the day, they were loyal to the highest bidder and loyal to other Afghanistani.
And honestly, everyone that I've ever spoke with, because I've always been a history buff, but I never want to read it in books. I always want to talk to the people who were there. Everybody that was in Vietnam has pretty much said almost exactly the same thing that you're saying right now.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I talked to guys who had went to Iraq before, and they said these people, even though they're Muslims and everything else, they're just a different type of people. Like, they, at the end of the day, yeah, they'll be your friend and help you out somewhat if you fucking pay them, but they're not like the Iraqis even. Like, the Americans would come in and, kick out the fucking Taliban and kick ass and take names, then the Iraqi people would openly celebrate in the fucking streets and do honest business with, U.S. forces. These people, they'll love you to your face and try to bargain with the Taliban and not tell you where IEDs are planted. They were, at the end of the day, they were semi-loyal to whoever paid the most, but at the end of the day, they were loyal to themselves, their tribe, their village, their imam, and shit like that. So I there is a lot of innocent people there who are doing the best they could, but the people that they put up in positions of power, whether it be in local government or whether it be in religious institutions like the local mosque or whatever, were really shitty, corrupt people from what I saw.
Well, and Irate Prostate is asking, did you ever see any poppy fields?
Yeah, we burned them. don't believe everything you watch on InfoWars. Just to let you know. Myself personally, I have arrested people for having heroin on their possession. I have arrested people for trying to sell poppies and shit like that to Taliban members and shit like that. So I stood a lot of posts guarding the the PB that I was on, and I've also done a lot of, I guess, somewhat military police work where I've had to guard prisoners of war, and I've had to arrest people and search them and fingerprint them and scan their, eyeballs into a little system. I've done a bunch of that. But yeah, don't believe all the bullshit, folks.
Well, and I know I promised we wouldn't get into the politics of this, but I am immensely curious. How rampant was the opiate problem over there?
Everybody was on some sort of drug, especially if they were a man and over the age of 20 something. Like if you were like 28 over there, you looked like you were 40 fucking years old. These people do not age gracefully in a in a very harsh environment. They look very haggard.
A hard knock life.
Oh yeah, you're telling me. But yeah, the drug problem was fucking rampant, especially with Taliban members and shit like that. But yeah, it was one of those weird things, dude. Like we would give them, there was this little girl, yet again, not as bad as the story I told earlier, but by no means. But there was this little girl, and I guess her father, who looked like her great-great-grandfather, who brought her to our PB, and she had like some kind of burns or something on her eye. And, we took her in and gave her medical treatment along with her dad, I guess, her father or whatever. And it was one of those things, like we legitimately helped these people as much as we could, and we would try to get them to grow like corn or some other thing else, and they would just be like, why am I going to grow corn and be able to feed my family when I can grow poppy, get high off heroin, and sell it to the Taliban?
Yeah.
You know what I
mean? And I think that's kind of the thing that a lot of the American people kind of turn a blind eye to, is that the fact that you're basically waging war against an economy, because these people literally are like, you know what? I can grow something and get a penny from it, or I can grow something and get a dime.
Yeah, and it's not like they use that money to go buy food or anything else. They literally just, buy another fucking Toyota Corolla and a fucking Sony Ericsson phone or some shit. Like, it's so, like, they have weird ways that they view life over there. But like I said, I mean, there was a shit ton of them who were just good, hardworking people who just wanted to be left the fuck alone. But the people in positions of power, those people were just a different level of corrupt. You know what I mean?
And honestly, that does not seem like a winnable war.
No, it's really not. No.
But, and I respect and salute everything that our armed forces did to try and level the playing field. And if I could, for those watching, can we get some ones in the chat for at least appreciating the effort of what Tennessee Marine tried to do? And I will say this is the bottom of the hour, and I'll be honest with you, I will go as long as you would like to go, because there's still way too many things that I find fascinating about what you do. So I will be here as long as you want to talk about it.
Well, this is a personal day for me, dude. I cleared my schedule for this interview, so I will say this much, and then I'm gonna go hit the head real quick. I need a restroom break. This Monster, I got a big can of Monster, and it is time to hit the head, my good man. I have a young man's bladder, but I would like to say this before I go. As far as fighting wars against terrorism and stuff like that is concerned, the thing is that if you kill an actual Taliban member or a terrorist, even if it's in combat and it was a honorable kill, if you will, he shot at you, You shot back. You were a better shot that day. He died. That dude has family members. That dude has, you know, a mom, a dad, a brother, a sister, a cousin, and blah, blah, blah. And you kill one, and now two more guys decide to join ISIS or the Taliban or whatever. When it comes to fighting wars against these people, oh, we kick their ass every single fucking time. And that's just not the Marine Corps. That's the Army, the Navy. Like, the military power that we have against these people is I have seen the full might of the war machine of the United States government, and to people who worry about fucking Russia or China or any other fucking nation taking us over, good fucking luck, buddy. That's all I can say, because our military strength is unsurpassed, and I've seen it firsthand, and I've also worked with people in other countries. But the thing about it is that you're not fighting a war against a combatant. You're not fighting a war against a nation. You're fighting a war against an ideology.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a lot harder to try and defeat. And at the end of the day, you know, I do think I don't want to see any more wars in the Middle East. My personal experience, or my personal opinion, yet again, not the opinion of the United States or the Marine Corps. My personal opinion is Daniel Franklin. My opinion is let the fuckers kill each other. Leave the Middle East to itself. Let all of because if we're not there, I promise you, they're going to fight amongst themselves, especially the Afghanistan people. This tribe will hate that tribe, and that tribe will wage war and everything else. They've done this shit for centuries. So, the United States especially has no business in the Middle East. Let them all fight and kill one another and don't give a fuck about any of them. That would be my personal opinion. But yeah, hey, it is what it is. And people will say, "Oh, it's a war for oil, or it's a war for the poppy fields," and it's like, we burnt those motherfuckers. Just because you see a picture on InfoWars of a soldier walking through a poppy field, like, you dumb motherfucker, that's called a patrol. Like, you don't just go overseas and sit in your fob or your PB and just hope that the Taliban doesn't attack you. Like, no, you get out there and you walk the fucking streets. You go on patrol, you talk to the locals, you'd be like, "Hey guys, we're not here to fucking kill you. Could you let us know if there's any Taliban members around?" Like, it got to the point a couple of times when I was on patrol where it would just be like, "Hey, interpreter, go tell that person if there's any Taliban members, we're going to be here at this time. Come fuck with us, please. This shit's getting boring. I'm tired of standing post. I want to get some in. I want to get some shit in." And our interpreter would do it. Like, "Yeah, you got it, Lance Corporal." Yeah, but I don't know, dude. I don't see any fucking reason to continue doing this shit. Like, just keep on fight war smarter, not harder. There doesn't need to be this invasion and occupation. That strategy doesn't work, and Vietnam should have taught us that.
I can't disagree with anything that you've said. I'll go ahead and fill some time, man. You hit the head.
All right, I appreciate it. I'll be right back, Doc.
And I'd like to thank everybody who's come out tonight. I got a feeling this is going to go a little bit longer. We're going to go into OT. And if you miss what he's got to say about YouTube, then I think you're going to be missing a lot. We're going to get into quite a bit of the area that you people know and love as well. And you don't have to be soldiers, because you're already enlisted in the army that is the audience of YouTube. I do want to make sure, and guys, I'm serious. I've got my links up, but there are really, and I'm going to start doing this on the regular. I'm going to start posting people that I like to watch, that I like to listen to. And I'll give you a money back guarantee on this, because you will enjoy these streams. They are criminally undersubbed, and you really need to sub to Blackout by Dawn, sub to The Killing Joke, sub to Irate Prostate. These guys do one hell of a job, and they are criminally undersubbed. Now, okay, I'm going to say I know Irate has more subs than I do, but he needs more. And Killing Joke just started off, and he's amazing. And Blackout by Dawn, I hooked into this guy with his first show. I had just gotten out of the hospital. I was feeling really bad about myself, and he entertained me for a couple of hours, and he has my dying gratitude. He's a great guy. So all three of these guys need more subs. If you guys have any questions for me, if you guys have any thoughts about who you'd like to hear, let me go ahead and share with you. I've got the rest of this month, and of course, the next month booked. So let me just share the next 4 weeks with you, because there's going to be some amazing people coming up. We've got Jeff Butler, who is an artist. He started off with TSR, the gaming company. He actually quit school to be an illustrator for them. Then he became a comic book artist. Then he became the lead 2D animator for Dice Games, including all the Star Wars stuff and the Heretic series. And he just finished up his professorial duties, and now he's going to be teaching art at the University of Madison. It's going to be an amazing show. On the 4th, we have Gerald Casale, who is the co-founder of the band Devo. He's going to be here to answer questions and give a little information on why such a band like Devo actually existed. And I think you're going to be amazed at some of those answers. On 9/11, we're going to be celebrating with Undoomed. And this is going to be unlike any other interview. This isn't going to be a politic. This is going to be a what he does, how he does it, and a little bit of IRL without any doxing. And of course, on the 18th, I'm incredibly excited about this. We're going to have the performance band Pony Trap on. And Pony Trap is an amazing band. It's literally made up of 2 people. They play 2 instruments, which is a stand-up cello and a viola. And they tried to have a 3rd member. They tried to get a drummer in, but they couldn't find anybody that could keep up with them. So literally, they invented one. They created a drummer digitally, and they have performed not only for South by Southwest, they've also performed for the National Geographic museum that just recently opened. And they're one of the favorite bands by a little known director by the name of Ron Howard. And hopefully, if we can rig it right, if I'm not being a complete and total boomer, we're actually going to have a live performance by Pony Trap. And that is going to be amazing. So that's what you got to look forward to for the next month. If nothing else, hopefully you will find something interesting. I will say this flat out. I'm not looking for the clicks. I'm looking for people who want to come on and hear interesting conversations with interesting people. And that's what brings me right back to Tennessee Marine.
Yes, yes. Hello, I am back.
I heard it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you heard me lit up with cigarettes. So yeah. So how bad did you talk about me during my restroom break? Huh, chat? Come on, let me know. He called me a faggot, didn't he?
I said I'm gonna try everything I can to keep this motherfucker from taking over my show.
Oh God, this fucking kayfabe, dude! I'm telling you.
and I tell you, I mean, if you don't have anything else that you like to share about with your experience in Afghanistan, because I want to make sure that this is covered, because the people who are tuning in because they want to hear from you. And
well, okay, yeah, they want to hear from me, but they don't mind the doc. They don't mind the DocGriffon either. So I'm just letting you know, you got a talent, my friend. You
dude,
really do.
I'm just driving the car. I find people that are incredibly interesting, so that makes me seem more interesting.
Oh, see, Cult of Krill in the live chat. Ari throwing you under the bus. He was talking about how shit the Marines were. Doc, I'm about to take over the show. Give me that stream key. I want it in my inbox now. I'll be like Taco with the fucking play button.
Now, hey,
see the stream key. Hashtag that shit.
Now, my brother may disrespect Jarheads because of the fact that he rode down with them on the boat to go to Grenada, and he never
old school shit.
He never got the chance to get off the boat.
I'd be a little bit butthurt too about that. To be fair,
well, he was in Bravo Gulf Battalion, which was the guys. Once you dropped the anti-aircraft stuff, then that's when he kicks in. And they never had to do that, so he never got off the boat. He didn't get a patch.
Well, hey man, it's one of those things, dude. I've been out of the Marines long enough. Like, don't get me wrong, you start some dumb shit about Marines, like, yeah, you might get your ass beat, but if it's one of those things to where it's an Army guy or Navy guy, dude, I'm mostly around civilians in college or in my professional life and my personal life. So I'm past that point of, oh, you're fucking Army, aren't ready for Marine yet. I'm done with that dumb shit. It's like, you're a vet, I'm a vet. Look at the fucking beard. Look at the long hair. Look at the tattoos. I'm chilling. Just point me to where the hot women are and the weed and the liquor, and I'm good. All right.
By the way, can I say I really like, because I'm a tatted boy myself, I really like the We the People that runs up your right arm.
Yeah, I've got some. I do have expensive skin. I will say that much. I've got 2 full sleeves, my entire back done, both my ribs, and quite a lot of my chest. So.
Well, and let's talk about tattooing, because a lot of people are. I mean, they're of one of two camps. There's either I never have it done to me, or this is God's canvas. I'm just painting the walls.
Yeah, I kind of look at it the second way. I mean, religiously speaking, not trying to get on that topic by no fucking stretch of the imagination, because you guys should know by the picture, I held a whale up in this motherfucker. But
oh hell, blue whale! Let's get those up in the chat.
Fried power, motherfuckers. But there is a Bible passage that says like your body is your temple and you're supposed to respect it and all that good stuff. The way I kind of look at it, this is the only body I'm gonna get in this life, and I want it to be well designed. That's why I tried to. I've gained a couple of pounds. I'm not going to lie, since, I'm not, doing strenuous PT every single day. But, for the most part, I stay active, stay in good shape, especially around the summertime when I'm working my dick off. But I like having expensive skin. I like having artwork on my body. I like, being in good shape, or at least trying to be. If my body is my temple, I want it to look good and, be well decorated, if you will.
Yeah, and you know what? Might as well make it into the Sistine Chapel.
Yep, it fucking A right, dude. Like, I'm not one of those people who get like goofy, just oh, I like butterflies, so I got a butterfly. No, like I don't do that shit. Like, everything that I have on my arm is like stoicism quotes or Bible passages or like family sayings, or everything is there for a reason and a purpose, and it meshes well together.
Yeah, I mean, it's people who get multiple tattoos. It's not just a tramp stamp that they got in Fort Lauderdale on spring break. All of my tattoos have meanings to them. And it's so funny because if I can just sidetrack for a second.
No, please.
I went to get one of the things that inspired me the most when I was a kid was the Fantastic Four.
Nice.
And I have that tattooed on my calf. And my mom wanted to come with me. It was her 50th birthday coming up. And she was sitting there watching. She's like, I want a tattoo. And I'm like, are you sure? She's like, yeah. And I was like, all right, hop in the chair. I will pay for your tattoo. And that was, she's in her mid 70s now. And she looks upon that experience so fondly because she's like, I did what I wanted to do, and this is art on my body that I can keep until I go to the grave.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of those things to where, I mean, don't get me wrong. Whatever the fuck you want to do it. It's your body. So long as you're not fucking with my safety or my own personal liberties and freedom, I could give a shit less what you do with your body. But tattoos to me should be something meaningful. It's for life, and that's why I, have really expensive artwork done. And, every single one of my tattoos, there's either a reason for its placement or its design or its color scheme. Like for instance, on my back, I have my entire back tattooed from shoulder blades all the way down to where my ass cheeks begin. And it's literally the gates of heaven and hell. Like one side is the gates of heaven, the other side is the gates of hell. It has a really hot demon looking bitch on the gates of hell, and it has a really hot angel looking chick on the gates of heaven.
I was going to say,
Because
if it was a red dragon, then I'd start worrying about you.
no, not trying to be like the fucking cannibal, man. But the reason why I have it is I kind of believe everybody's got a little bit of an angel and a little bit of a devil in them. We're, as human beings, we're capable of both amazingly beautiful and significant things, and as human beings, we're also capable of amazingly violent and horrible and atrocious things. And I kind of represented that in really good artwork on my back that takes up the entire back. And I also have do you know what an ambigram is?
Yep.
Cool. For those of you who might not know, an ambigram is a design or words written out to form, meaning or whatever. And if you look at it, you can turn it upside down and it'll say the same thing upside down that it did right side up. And at the very top of right near the base of my neck, I have the word fallen angel, and it's an ambigram. If I like lean down, it'll say fallen angel the exact same way.
Yeah. Before I had my strokes, I actually did do art, and I was incredibly fascinated with ambigrams. It's amazing stuff. And Jack was out in the chat ripping you.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That was good, Jack. I fully support that Bam roasted that you did. But no, unfortunately, no tramp stamps. No tramp stamps.
But now we haven't even scratched the surface about your migration to YouTube. But I want to make sure: is there anything that we need to cover with Afghanistan? Is there anything left unsaid?
No, for the most part. As far as as far as the backstory into what makes Tennessee Marine. I did my 4 years. I got out. I got an honorable discharge. And yeah, when I first became a veteran, I just went on a very extended vacation to where I traveled the United States. I went to see my first heavy metal concert in Sacramento, California, a heavy metal concert called Aftershock.
Who?
It was a 2-day long metal festival from 8 o'clock in the morning to 12 o'clock at night. And the reason why I went is my favorite band, and judge me if you want to, you judgmental fucks on the internet. I do not care. My favorite band has been and always will be Korn. They never come to Tennessee. I got out of the Marine Corps and I had some money. I'd never been to a metal festival and they were playing it. In fact, they were headlining. And I said, fuck it. I'm getting on a plane and flying by myself to California to go see my favorite band and like 40 other really awesome bands that I'd never seen before. I actually ended up meeting a couple of people who were from Reno, Nevada as radio DJs because I got one of those combined tickets to where you get concert tickets as well as a hotel room, like a hotel package.
Gotcha.
And oddly enough, the hotel had a bar in it. So you know where I was. I was at the fucking bar, right?
Oh yeah.
And there was these two ladies there who were radio DJs for a Nevada metal station, a hard rock station. Ended up talking to them, and one of their friends who they brought along for the ride actually kind of liked me a little bit. So I just now got out of the Marines. I hadn't smoked weed or did anything like that in fucking years. Ended up hanging out with her. Had my first real good, high off that. And
You were hooking up.
yeah, dude, I got laid and I got stoned for the first time. Well, not laid for the first time in a long time, but definitely stoned for the first time in several years, and ended up talking to their cute friend who they brought along, and got fucking stoned, got fucking laid, and then the next day the fucking festival began. Korn was the headliner, so of course they went on at the very last. Never seen them play live before. There's still a video of Aftershock 2013 on YouTube. I believe I have it saved in like my fave videos or something. And I can actually pick out when Korn comes on stage exactly where I am, because there's these steel beams that were on the stage and I was literally right fucking there in front of them. So Korn, plays their set. Fucking dope, amazing, loved it. It was a dream come true to see them play live.
They are better live.
Oh, dude, they're so fucking amazing live. You have no idea.
I do have an idea.
Oh, I'm sure you do, but in the general sense of the word, like if you do not like Korn as a band, see them live at least once. I guarantee they'll change your fucking mind, at least slightly. But anyways, they get done, they get off stage, and the little security barriers that they have, those like thick, heavy fence things that they put like in security areas and shit. Well, there were security guards there while they were on, but after Korn got off stage and passed out a couple of guitar picks and whatnot, the security guards just fucked off, and I was like, there's no security guards guarding the entrance to the backstage area. I'm gonna, sneak Metal Gear Solid, sneak my happy ass back fucking stage. So I did. I'm in a brand new t-shirt that I bought at the fucking festival. No little VIP pass, no little like press, laminate or anything like that. I'm backstage. Anybody that sees me would have been like, obviously knew that I shouldn't be there in that area. But I did. Yep, I didn't give a fuck. I wanted to go and meet Jonathan Davis. So I sneak backstage. I see, a bunch of, lead singers and drummers and shit from the bands that I've been watching, all day long. They, there. I said hello to them, had a conversation with them. I go backstage and there's this trailer and it says Korn on a piece of paper on the outside. And there was a tree in front of their little trailer. So I just kind of, sat behind sort of stood behind the tree and just, kind of bided my time. Like, man, I wonder if I'm going to see them, or I wonder if they're going to come out, or, whatever. Like, fuck, dude, I don't know. Like, I hope I don't get caught. And, all this shit's going in my head. And I'm just trying to sit there and, smoke a cigarette and, wonder, should I bounce and get the fuck out of here before I get arrested for like trespassing, or is this worth it? But as soon as I start thinking about bouncing, Jonathan Davis starts walking to his trailer, lead singer of Korn. He has the biggest, tallest black man that I've ever seen in my entire life as a security guard. This dude looks like he could have eaten the guy from Green Mile and still had room for leftovers. Just a fucking mountain of a man. And I'm like, I didn't even give a fuck. I was like, Jonathan Davis, man, I just now got out of the Marines, dude. I've listened to your music since I was like 12. I just want you to know I fucking love your music and you guys fucking rock. And he was like, the security guard's like, Mr. Davis, like, let's get you in your trailer. Cause I guess he thought I was, I don't know, crazy rabid fan or something.
Yeah.
But Jonathan Davis, cool as fuck, slick as hell, just didn't even give a shit. He's like, right on, dude. Thanks for your service and thanks for coming out. Have a great night. And he shook my hand.
That's awesome. That kind of sounds like my Nirvana story, but damn. Yeah. I mean, when you get to meet your heroes, a lot of people say Don't meet your heroes because you're going to be disappointed. I can't follow that line of pessimism because I've met quite a few people who've been influential and they've been stand up. They've not been dicks.
Right. Well, I mean, he could have easily been like, "Get the fuck out of here, weirdo!" Like, security guard, eat him, and he could have. He could have literally just been like, "Oh," and I'd be like, Tennessee would have never been here ever. He could have just leaned down, just opened his mouth, and just swallowed me whole. Like, I swear to God, this dude was just like he could. Like Brock Lesnar is a tiny guy compared to that dude. He was like at least 6'7", like 2-3, or like at least 350 pounds. Like he was massive. But Jonathan Davis just didn't even give a fuck. It was just like, "Dates, bro, it's fucking awesome, dude. Thanks for your service. Rock on, dude." And I was like, "Hell yeah, dude!" Like, and then I went back to the hotel room with all those ladies that I met. We had a little bit of a fucking pool party. Got smoked some good California reefer again. Got laid again. Great fucking night.
And you didn't have to visit a doctor 3 days later.
No. Safe sex is good sex, fellas.
There you go. Wrap it or wrap it.
Yep, exactly. But yeah,
now you've got basically your setup. You're back in the States, and I'm incredibly curious about this too. So color me with fanboy questions. But what the hell? You're an honorably discharged Marine.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell drew you to YouTube?
Well, I've done the college thing for a bit. I'm really interested in going in the medical field, either helping to assist in surgery or being like a social worker or something like that. I kind of feel like one of the reasons I was put here on the earth is to try and make the world a better place in my own small way. If I can do that through trying to make jokes on YouTube or something like that, awesome. If I can do it in a medical sense or in a counselor sense, I'm going to do it. And if I make a little bit of money off of it, cool. But have you ever watched the movie? I know you're a little bit of a movie buff as well. The guy from Lord of the Rings, the guy who played Legolas, he did a movie about the Crusades. I think it was called God, what the fuck was it? Hold on, I'm gonna Google search this shit. But do you know the movie I'm talking about? Orlando Bloom played in it.
I have a slight recollection.
I bet someone in the chat is gonna figure this out before I even Google search this shit.
I do have a PhD in Google.
Doesn't everybody? Kingdom of Heaven.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Kingdom of Heaven.
Wasn't that Oliver Stone?
I believe so, actually. Yeah, but the reason why I bring up that movie is there's a quote above the main character's Orlando Bloom's. He's a blacksmith, and above his, I guess, blacksmithing stall or whatever it is.
Sorry, Ridley Scott.
Ridley Scott. Oh, okay. I knew it had to be someone influential. Damn good movie. I liked it. But he has this quote etched into the wood above his blacksmithing stall or whatever. And to paraphrase it, it's basically something, "What is a man that does not try to make the world a better place?" I kind of feel like if you're alive in this time and in this area, you shouldn't squander that life. And whether it's with your own family or, your community or, the people you interact with or anything else, I do feel like you have a duty, not only to yourself, but to the life that has been given to you, to try and make things a little bit better than the way they were when you first got here. And whether that's through, just not being a piece of shit to people, whether that's through doing something significant, like joining the military or, doing charity work or something like that. Or whether it's just, hopping on a random live stream with your buddies just to, talk shit and try and make people laugh. I feel like, that's kind of why we're here, to try and improve upon this grand experiment called human beings. And I started what brought me to YouTube was after I got out of the Marines. I spent a couple of years partying, getting into some trouble with some of the old friends from the block. Nothing that ever led in me being charged with anything, but one of those things, I definitely had a guardian angel multiple times, if you get my meaning.
It happens.
Yeah, it's I'm I'm one of those guys. Yeah, I'm a very loyal friend. If you call me up at like 3 o'clock in the morning and you're like, "Hey, dude, I need to come to your house and talk to you about something." Oh, fuck! All right, man, come on, pull up. I'll leave the porch light on for you. You show up and you're just like, "Hey, I've got this sawed-off shotgun. We need to go do some dirt, and you can never ask me about why we're doing this." All right, man. You buy me a case of beer. I'm good. Let's go. Where are we going? I'm one of those type of friends. I don't do that as much as I used to, but there are certain people that still have that level of loyalty.
Sure.
That I give to them or that they've earned from me. But yeah, I right around before the most recent election. Um, I had a Facebook, like most people. I just used it to talk to old Marine Corps buddies and to some of my college friends and shit like that. Normal basic shit. Never done videos before until I got a decent smartphone. And I was like, I saw this shit going on with like Black Lives Matter and Antifa and the alt right and all this other dumb shit. And it was so stupid to me that Americans seem to be so divided over such petty bullshit that I just felt the need to give my 2 cents about it. And I've been on live shows with guys who have had millions of followers or whatever on Facebook. I've, had my phone, flipped around to my camera and live stream through Facebook, and they've had, oh God, I think the biggest live stream I've ever been on through Facebook. I don't know if the videos are around anymore. The people that own those pages might have already deleted them, and I know I've made a couple of videos that have gotten couple hundred, maybe 1,000 views or some shit. But at one time you could search my actual name and there'd be 18,000 views on it, and like the live streams that I have been on have had anywhere between 2,000 to 3,000 people watching live, like me on my back porch, like smoking a cigarette, talking to the person who owned the page. I know people by first name basis who have been on InfoWars, who have used to work for InfoWars, and it's just one of those things. I've never had a problem having someone ask me a topic or how I feel about something and being able to talk about it and put my face and my name and my name on the line, so to speak, to defend how I believe or what I think. And I don't know, Facebook got really fucking super lame. Because I'm one of those people where it's like, if you're like talking shit about like, oh, I'm gonna fucking fight you, man, I'm gonna MMA fight you. Well, this is my real name. You know what my backyard looks like. You know the city and state in which I live. Like, come fucking do it. Like, I'm all about having a good scrap. And it just got to the point to where so many people were either talking shit or threatening me or whatever else. I was just like, all right, well, you know what? I'm kind of done with this platform. It just seems to be stupid and very very echo chambery, if you will. And I started damn near abandoned Facebook for the most part, besides just using Facebook Messenger to talk to a couple of friends. But I started fucking around with Twitter a lot more, and that introduced me to people like Tonka Saw and Failure and Gulf City and places like that. And I've just now gotten I got a decent microphone and headset, and started saying my 2 cents, and people were like, "Hey, would you like to come on the show? Would you like to talk live?" Like, yeah, sure, I don't mind. I'll put my fucking real name there and say what I got to say. If you want to have me on your show, I don't mind. I've never had a problem saying my 2 cents in any format or any platform.
So what was the first show that you ever went on?
I think it was a show with Failure, actually. I do believe like Failure was in the Google Hangout, and I I had such a shitty laptop that like everything in my room looked like with a tint of like shitty looking reddish brown. And, like it was so fucking bad, dude. But like yeah, I think like maybe like Failure accomplished and some other people like who were no longer even doing live streams. Like yeah, I think that was one of the first live streams I ever went on. Like the first major thing that I ever went on was the Kumite back before Blood Sports was even a thing. Back when if people will remember the whole Kraut Discord doc server thing was going on. I wrote some shit on Twitter, and Tonka like hit me up and was like, "Hey, would you like to come on my show and talk about it?" Because he saw me in the chat. He knew I liked to listen to his show and stuff like that. And I was like, "Yeah, man, that'd be fucking dope." So, but he had me on the Kumite before before Blood Sports and before it got super big, and now it's this massive you know platform changing thing that it became. But yeah, dude. I mean,
Well, and I have to say this. We need to refute this immediately because Accelerate said Tennessee Marine touched my PP.
I have never touched another man's PP itself. And even though you would like that to happen, I'm telling you that just think about it, and you can touch your own. That's about as far as you're gonna get.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more of a Divinyls thing. When he thinks about you, he touches himself.
I do like that song. That is a good song. I do like old shit like that. Like I'm not even gonna lie.
So now, the thing I find incredibly curious is the fact that you have no content. I mean, you've got a YouTube channel just because of the fact that you have to have an identity to be able to interact with YouTube.
Right.
When did you start feeling, and I hate to phrase it this way, when did you start feeling the celebrity, the value in the words that you had to say?
I guess I still haven't. Like I really have no reason why people pay attention to the things I say, or why people, I guess, give a shit to have me on their shows or their live streams, or whatever. I just like at the end of the day, like I'm just a dude with a microphone. I'm just some asshole on the internet who has an opinion, and I can make jokes from time to time. As far as having an actual YouTube channel and actually making content, like for one, I've seen the level of fanboy bullshit echo chambers and fan bases enough to know that the things that I probably would want to talk about, I don't think I'd get very far in the current state of YouTube and the current way that everything's very divided and definitely has a fucking side. But you know I like the ability to say I'm not a YouTuber. I am simply a guy who gets invited to places, and I can talk with people that I have a mutual respect for, whether that's Tonka or Failure or AP and Ghastly or Optic or Broski or any of these really cool people that I would probably like off air. I don't mind coming on and shooting the shit with them. Because they're not my internet friends or whatever. They're just people I have a mutual respect for, and I already like the things that they say in the manner in which they discuss things. So and you're the exact same way, Doc. Like you said at the very beginning of the show, I can sit and have a private Discord conversation with you for 2 hours normally. I like the cut of your jib.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing I think is worthwhile of delving into, because I appreciate your perspective on many of the things that we've spoken about. The people who take this e-celebrity to heart, the people that wrap all their hopes and dreams around their 15 minutes of fame. I'm really interested on your perspective about this.
There is a big difference, in my opinion, between being a YouTube hoe as Tonka Saw has famously coined the term, and being a person who simply wants to make content on YouTube. I feel like if your entire life is wrapped up in how many followers you have, how many views you get, how much money you're making on Streamlabs or Patreon or whatever the fuck it may be, if that's all your life revolves around and you don't have an actual life outside of social media or outside of doing videos or being on a stream, that's a pretty piss poor life to have, you know. And like, people can see the difference between people who are genuine and people who are just playing a part, you know, playing a bit, if you will. When someone's sincere in who they are and the opinions that they hold, it shines through. Like, I've said this before personally and privately to people, but you know, people like Tonka, people like AP and Gasly, people like Broski, you know, these are the type of people who, if they weren't doing YouTube, they would be successful in other avenues. You know, they're simply using this platform because, for one, it's available, and for two, they can get some, you know, attention with it. They can, you know, bolster their views, or, you know, enlarge their platforms, or actually put on entertainment. The people who aren't entertaining, or the people who couldn't do this or couldn't do anything other than YouTube, they shine through too as well. Like, people see that shit, and I feel like this whole idea of, like, you know, e-celebs and shit, like, we have such a tiny, tiny little part of YouTube in the grand scheme of things. We have such a small impact upon, you know, the grander scheme of politics or society, or, you know, whatever. But sometimes some amazing things can happen. Like Tonka, for instance, he changed, you know, a lot about what was going on in YouTube for the longest time. At one point, it was nothing but reply videos and, you know, bullshit little streams and everything else. And Tonka was the first person to come in and be like, no, you are all for sale. You're just as fake as the people you pretend to hate. You do the exact same shit that they do, and you're for sale. You're a YouTube ho. That's how it famously got coined. Because so many of these people that, you know, that I will not name, because I don't care to name them and they don't deserve to be named on this stream anyways. The people who are not real, the people who are not genuine when they get on a live stream and talk about the things that they care about, those people who have thousands of subscribers, hundreds of thousands of subscribers, they're so fake and full of shit that when someone came in and actually highlighted it and shone a light on it and just, you know, exposed them for what they were, it changed YouTube. When was the last time you was on YouTube and you saw a fucking response video or a reply video to some shit?
Well, I think that pretty much died down at the beginning of this year, because once IBS filtered in, people were like, oh, well, we can get these clicks if we go head to head.
Yeah, and I mean, it's better entertainment. It really is. And I've said this to Tonka personally, and I've said it on other live streams. It's a better fucking format. Like, yeah, you can say whatever you want about blood sports and about some of the stupid shit that is around it or happens through it, but at the end of the day, if you've got something to say, you should, you know, say it to that person's face, not do, like, watch a Riley fucking Dennis video and then do another, like, you know, 45-minute reply video to her, knowing that she's never going to fucking see it. And if she does, she's just going to use that for content on her channel. It was such this passive aggressive bullshit when Tonka was just like, hey, here's the Google Hangout link. Would you like to come on and discuss your grievances?
Well, and I mean, I think that we can relate this to the present with all the people who are doing videos on Mundane Matt, for God's sake. It's just, okay, we understand what's going on, but we don't need the opinion of 50 different people who are saying the exact same thing. If you have any pride in what you're doing and you're not adding anything new to the conversation, find something else to talk about.
Well, I get that, Doc, but in the same sense, also, I don't hate the fact that a person who has blatantly lied and done really shady shit is catching a lot of shit for those actions. Especially with someone with, that's, verified and got that little check mark and got a play button and blah, 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 and all that dumb shit. Like, yeah, like a person who is slimy and shady as fuck kind of deserves to have a lot of negative attention on him, especially when he dwarfs all the people that are, highlighting his shitty and shady actions.
Yeah, but I mean, it just it just seems kind of
Repetitive.
yeah, monotonous. I mean,
I get it.
because if you just keep doing the same thing over and over again, there are just as many different topics out there as there are YouTube celebrities.
Right. But I mean, it's one of those things though, like I totally get what you're saying and I agree with you, but at the same time, it feels like people who have done this for years have always gotten away with it, have always, done these shady backdoor fucking things and lied to their fans and tried to pretend to be this, wonderful, sweet, honest person who is, fighting the good fight for free speech and for blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, like you're just as big of a piece of shit as the people you go against. And I feel like if a person has gotten a huge platform or a huge fan base, like it really is punching up at that point. It really does deserve to be highlighted that this person who has been lying to all these thousands of people is a piece of shit and does shady, fucked up things. And, I can understand how it gets monotonous and repetitive, but at the same time, the message still needs to get out there, if that makes sense.
But I mean, there are people, and I clocked this with the Monday Matt thing. There are people who instantly after the Ralph retort, once he admitted to everything, they came out with their videos. That was about a half dozen people. Then literally days later, there are 30 other people who are hopping on the bandwagon saying the exact same thing. It just reeks of desperation to me that they're trying to keep as many clicks as they can. Like they haven't realized that the adpocalypse has completely destroyed any type of monetary benefits that creators were making from YouTube.
Yeah, I mean that's a valid fucking point, Doc. It really truly is. I mean, yeah, I can't refute it. I really can't. It's one of those things, man, like I hate YouTube ho-ness and I hate the people that are guilty of it, but at the same time, it's you can hate the player, but you can't hate the game. I can see why certain people would want to, cash in on the biggest, hot button issue of the day, yeah, for clicks and views and whatnot.
Well,
I get
sure,
it.
yeah. Especially if you're, people like PewDiePie or Philip DeFranco who are up in the millions, that they have to put some type of relevance to get people clicking back to them. But
Right.
when these lesser tier YouTubers, and I'm a low tier YouTuber as well. When people are doing this kind of thing, presenting just unoriginal content, clipping and giving some type of basically a lukewarm affectation to the things that they are saying, they're not providing any type of entertainment in any way. I've heard many times that a lot of people will listen to Mundane Matt for the first 5 minutes just to get the headlines, and then they're off because they really don't give a shit what he's saying. And I think YouTube, if you're not going for the dollars which aren't there anymore, then you should be able to be providing a content, a perspective, an opinion that's going to at least steer your audience into a frame of thought.
Right. Yeah, dude, totally. And I mean, you brought this up, and I'm sure you would agree with me about this. It's one of the reasons why the skeptic community is no longer a valid fucking thing. Like, they really aren't, because there was one time, in YouTube where whatever hot button issue, here would be an Andy Worski video, then a Jeff Holiday video, and then, the YouTube Saints would talk about it, and then these people would talk about it, then Sargon would talk about it. All these people would release the exact same fucking video or about the exact same fucking topic within, an hour or two, if not that, between each other. And it was just one of those things. It was like you could literally follow one quote unquote skeptic and get whatever the big story was. There was no reason to follow anybody else besides one, because they all talked about the same dumb shit. More feminism and, race realist and blah, blah, blah.
Well, yeah. And I think that's the thing that, I hate to say this, but retards the audience.
Yeah,
basically
100%.
if they're into something and they keep clicking on other people who are talking about the same topic, like you're completely correct. I was sick and tired of Riley Dennis after 2 videos.
Amen.
And I'm like, okay, just you know what, forget these people, leave them alone, let them function in their own world, and sooner or later their star is going to go out.
Yep, exactly. I think that's why I gravitated towards, shows like Gulf City, especially with AP and Ghastly, and shows like that like Vamp puts on. I mean, she's got a fucking gaming channel, and every once in a while she'll do a video where she just sits and, bullshits with the audience, or a stream like Tonka or Failure, where they'll have a guest on and just shoot the shit for a little while and talk about whatever, comes to mind, or they'll talk about whatever big drama or, issue is going on in the quote unquote community. But I mean, it's one of those things. The people that I've gained a mutual respect for, not only do I feel like they could be successful in other avenues using their, either acquired or natural talents, they all don't say the same shit. Like, if I go and, watch a Fright Power Hour after watching the Kumite earlier on in the day, they're not going to be talking about the same shit. It's a different show. Like, yeah, some topics might have some overlay, but that's barely an issue anymore. Like, everybody's doing their own thing, and everybody's own thing is their fucking thing, and it's cool and interesting and fun to listen to. You can say whatever you want to about this side of YouTube, or this, blood sports, Kumite, Gulf City side of YouTube that you want. At the end of the day, at least the people that are involved with it, even though they might be friends and stream together or whatever, at least they do their own shit too, which is really fucking cool and interesting to see.
Well, okay, so that brings me to, give me the top 5 channels you personally enjoy and would recommend.
Gulf City Live, the Kumite on Taconostate's channel, Vamp Candy's channel, Failure's channel, and Blackout by Dawn, because I got to plug my little bro, and The Morning Decay.
Okay, since we know that he's asleep, can we just talk about him for just a second? I came onto his first show. I literally had just gotten out of the hospital from my first stroke, and he was sitting there talking about something or another and doing some drawings, and I just sent back, this is cool. I went ahead and I shared to him, and that day he started drawing an avatar for me that I use today. I use on YouTube, I use on Twitter, and it blew me away. And nobody knew who he was. I'm not going to say that I'm the guy who put him over, because he's the one with the talent. I basically just said, hey, you guys, can we watch this? And and he literally got all the people by himself. He earned it through his talent, and he's criminally undersubbed. That's why I've got him on the description. Are there people out there, because the people that you mentioned have pretty healthy sub counts, with the exception of Blackout? Do you have any, I hate to phrase it this way, but guilty pleasures? People that are under sub that you think people should go watch?
Honestly, no. Everybody that I watch has a pretty healthy sub count. I mean, the only thing that doesn't have as healthy as a sub count as it should be is UA's show, The Dump. That's about the only one that isn't like super, monetized and has thousands upon thousands of subs. But yeah, like mostly every channel I watch or interact with or anything else has a fairly strong, sub count and following, or fan base, if you will. But yeah, dude, Blackout and Diddy, their show is criminally undersubbed. The amount of talent and the amount of amazingness that those two have together as host and co-host is really incredible to listen to. Like, those guys, like her and him, could sit there and shoot the shit for 2 hours and it's entertaining. Plus they're drawing art and banting back and forth and interacting with the chat. It's just criminally undersubbed. It really is. And if you enjoy artistic stuff and good banter and good humor and good people, definitely check out that channel. Love being on it. I'm happy I've been on their stream and on their show, and I think very highly of both of those people.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, BTS, we've gotten into fights between me and Blackout just because this is all you, and he's like, well, no, you did this and you did that, and I was like, no, it's all you. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Yep, 100%.
And the people who show up love you. They come back to see you. And I mean, that's the kind of thing that really inspires me when I find these little YouTube channels, and it's almost a selfish pleasure, to where you're like, I can share these guys, but are they going to get it?
Not to cut you off, Doc, but I will say another one. Disky Fringo's channel. He does charity streams. He does, sitting there shooting the shit. I just recently started watching that guy, and he's fucking awesome and hilarious, and he's surrounded by a lot of good people as well. So I guess that would be his show and Blackout show are technically my guilty pleasures that a lot of people don't know about, but they totally fucking should.
And I'm going to make sure next time around and put Disky in too, because Disky's done some amazing stuff. His charity streams are mind-blowing, and I do know a little bit about the charity stream that's coming up, and everybody is going to enjoy what happens there. It's going to be a lot of fun, and let's go ahead and jump into this, because you literally have become part of a living meme. You have become the Pope
Del Taco
of the Taconostate.
Yep, the Taconostate. Yep, I have become Pope Del Taco of the Taconostate. Yes, this is canon now.
Yeah, let's get into that, because honestly, I mean, there are some people who would bristle against, oh, well, don't include me into that. And I know I was there the first night where everything blew up, and I was fucking with people left and right. I was trolling some of the biggest stars that I knew.
Yeah, dude, it was one of those things that, on the internet, on live streams, there's this really insanely awesome and really cool, and I would even say kind of fucking magical thing that can happen sometimes, where you'll just be shooting the shit, in chat, or in a live stream and something comes out of it and it's just fucking awesome and people can run with it and meme with it and make art about it. Like it's kind of hard to even remember how it happened exactly, but I was just on a random stream and just shooting the shit, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, he's Pope Del Taco now, and yeah, fuck burritos, and we're all about the Taconostate, and you know, I start
because I remember you came in hard because I was fucking around hashtagging and sending out the meme to all the people, to all the stars that I could think of to fuck with, and you came in hardcore rolling on it, and I don't know if it was Redacted or Tacostancia that did it, but all of a sudden, you know, the white smoke came up and Pope Del Taco was born.
Yep. And then I started getting memes. I started getting, like, I even have like a fucking like a thing, an actual artwork made of me as Pope Del Taco that I've shared around. It was one of those random things. Like, I didn't even ask anybody to do this. I was just trolling a little bit, and you know, when I troll, I go hard as a motherfucker. I'm just gonna let y'all know. 9 out of 10 times, I'm not being serious, but I'll still continue to, you know, do it as hardcore as I possibly can without being an outright asshole. But yeah, dude, it is just one of those magical fucking things that can happen every once in a while through random chance where I just started talking shit, and then it was like, you know, I'm a meme and now I have artwork about me, and you know, now I'm the official pope of the Taconostate. So yeah, dude, it's just cool random shit like that that makes me really like being a part of this side of YouTube, and you know, the content creators and the fans and the people in live chat, you know.
Well, and I can tell you how heartwarming and how humbling it was, because Lord Byron did the Pope Del Taco, and um he did one of me as well, and he came to me in a DM just completely meek and everything. He's like, is this okay if I put it into my shop? And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You made this, it's beautiful, and why would I say no? Can you cover just a little bit about being immortalized in artwork?
Yeah, I never expected it to happen, and it's so random and so fucking cool that it's kind of hard to explain it, really. It's just one of those, I mean, it might sound cliche or stupid or anything else, but it is one of those like magical fucking things, you know, that just happens.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, I think, and it's this is undeniable. It's an ego stroke, but it does not make you egotistical. As a matter of fact, it anchors you more. It makes you more humble. And for people, I mean, honestly, I was a hardcore memer, and now that people are starting to meme me, I'm deer in headlights. I don't know how to respond to it. It's just such a gracious thing for people to do to me, and it doesn't matter. I get the joke, whatever that they're doing, and I'm completely cool with it. And I mean, and how do you handle it when you see a meme pop up and you're in it?
I'm flattered. Like, to be honest, even if it's something that, you know, is goofy or silly or isn't, you know, my sense of humor or anything, it's still flattering as fuck to see that. Like, it really is that someone took time out of their day to just, you know, crop together this stuff, or even better, you know, make fucking artwork of me, you know, over some goofy shit I was trolling about. But I mean, we've brought up the question like why I don't want a YouTube channel and why I don't want to make content. I I have no desire to get involved with making content or anything else, but what I really truly like is trying to help push, even in my own small way, people whose content I do enjoy and communities I enjoy being a part of, whether it is, being a member of the Whale Gang or being a Kumite member or, whatever it might be, whatever
Gulf City.
group. Yeah, whatever group or whatever fan base or whatever it is, like I care about making my friends money. And even though these aren't like my IRL friends or whatever the fuck, I enjoy trying to push something that I find value in. And, all of these channels that I've mentioned previously, they have a lot of value to them, and the people behind them have a lot of value, at least in my opinion, and I have mutual respect for them. And I would rather see, a million fucking Gulf cities out there than another fucking Riley J. Dennis video, or a Blair White video, or some shit like that about politics or about more feminism or whatever. I don't give a shit. Like, fuck all that. Like, I want cool, interesting people to do well, and I care about trying to make them money and about trying to help put them over. And if I can help in my own small way through Streamlabs or buying merch or just sharing it out and retweeting it, I'm going to do that, because I'd rather see them gain in popularity than all of the 90% of the bullshit you see pushed on YouTube and on Twitter and other places.
Oh, by the way, Lord Byron just joined us in the chat.
Yes, that is the person who drew me as Pope Del Taco. Amazing fucking artist, and all of you should follow him.
And he did an awesome job on mine as well. You can only see him on the Streamlabs just because, God, there's so many mind-blowing artists that have done good things to me and made me look better and more popular than I actually am. So I really have problems dealing with that, because I want to make sure. I mean, I'd love to open up an art gallery and just say, look at what these guys did. It's all amazing. These guys, I'm always, I don't have two nickels to rub together, but I would prefer that people like Lord Byron get over, like Blackout get over,
like Diddy.
Like Diddy. Diddy's amazing, man. That whole pool party thing that she did today was just phenomenal.
Yeah. And I mean, that's another thing too about this side of, YouTube and this, community, if you will. You could say whatever the fuck you want to about Blood Sports or about AP and Ghastly and Failure and Vamp and Optic and Broski and all these people whose content I enjoy. But at the end of the day, like, yeah, some of the fan base is really fanboyish and very clingy and hella gay during certain times. But that's like 1% of the overall 100%, because 99% of the people that are involved in this community, whichever stream or whichever content creator it is, they're some of the most fucking creative, quick-witted, and hilarious people that you could ever be around.
And super supportive.
Oh, 100%, man.
And I think that's the big issue with communities right now. It's that they try to draw battle lines like, oh, this guy doesn't like this guy. This guy doesn't like this guy.
Dude, I hate that dumb shit, and I will always hate that dumb shit. Like, look, dude, like, there's one person that I've met through Twitter and YouTube who has my cell phone number, and that's AP. That's it. He has my personal cell phone number, and I consider him a legitimate good friend. Like, if he's one of the very few people, if I got a phone call tonight and was like, hey, dude, I need you to hop on a plane and come to Texas. Like, all right, man, I'm buying a plane ticket. It's that type of shit. We don't talk all the time. We're not boys or whatever, but he's had my back behind the scenes several times, and enough to earn my loyalty and my trust.
Yeah, I like the frog myself.
Yeah, he's a damn good man. Yep, he's a damn good man. Funny as fuck, damn good man. But as far as this whole like bullshit of like, oh, you don't like this person, so I can't like them, or I can't go in this Discord because this person is in here. Like, at the end of the day, I'm gonna like who the fuck I want to like, And if you're a content creator, you can have whoever the fuck you want on your channel. If you have someone I don't like or I don't want on or I, have personal issue with, then I just won't fucking watch. At the end of the day, none of these people, whether it's Tonka, Failure, AP, Ghastly, Vamp, Optic, Broski, Blackout, Diddy, like you, like at the end of the day, none of you owe me a goddamn thing. None of you do. The only thing I care about is helping support you guys, helping get attention to your streams and to your platforms, and having a couple of jokes every once in a while. And if you do invite me on your stream, yeah, I'll shoot the shit and make some jokes and do what I do as Tennessee Marine. But if you're gonna sit there and tell me like, you should hate this person because I hate this person, man, fuck off. This ain't high school. Like, you don't pay my bills. You're not dating me. And you're like, yeah, I enjoy your live streams and all that, or I enjoy the content you make, but I don't have to, toe the corporate line, so to speak, about, who I like and who I don't associate with. And neither do they, neither do you. If it's one of those situations where you have someone on a live stream that I don't like, cool. Good for you. I won't watch it. I won't help support it because I don't like that motherfucker. I will be petty enough to be like, oh, this is who you're trying to put up right now, and this is who you're talking to or you have on your stream. Okay, cool. You have the right 100% to put that person on a stream. I have the right 100% not to share it out and not try to support it because I don't like the motherfucker you have on. I'm totally within my fucking rights to do that, as are you. But this whole idea that how you have to do this fucking, high school clique type bullshit, it's ridiculous. And I mean, don't get me wrong, there are certain people who I am not fans of, who, if I ran into them in real life, I might catch an assault charge, realistically speaking. But at the end of the day, until anyone wants to, hit me up on my offer to fly out to Tennessee and do something about it, I could give a fuck less. There are people who I think are trying to do shady things in our community and trying to use people to help build their audience and play the YouTube ho game. And it is a awkward position that I find myself in sometimes, where it's like, I really enjoy the content creator that's putting on the show, but right now they're interacting with someone who I truly do think is a leech and a slimy, shady motherfucker that they're going to regret having anything to do with. But at the end of the day, you're a grown-ass fucking man or woman. You can be friends or have on whoever the fuck you want to, and I ain't got a goddamn right to tell you not to. So...
And to follow along those lines, what do you think is the worst trend right now in YouTube? I know that's a brain scratcher.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, it's not so much that it's a brain scratcher. It's just I want to be very clear in how I say this.
Yeah. Sobriety makes it a bitch.
Well, no, it's not so much sobriety. It's just like I really want to be upfront and honest and very concise in what I say. I think the worst trend going on right now is something that's been happening for a while, but it's something that's only recently came to the forefront of what people are doing, especially the people that I enjoy watching or interacting with, and that's the people that want to come on your stream or interact with you or, I don't know, do streams or make content with you. Just because you don't hate them or you don't have a reason to hate them doesn't necessarily mean that they're there for the right reasons. I feel like there's a lot of people who will try to leech upon more talented people or, entertaining people or people who have a sub count or people who have a following and try to leech as much views and subscribers and money and attention that they possibly can, simply because the person that they're doing that to doesn't realize what they're doing and doesn't necessarily hate that person at the when they're doing this. Like if I tried to you know if I tried to use Tonka to try and build up my fucking a YouTube channel that I just now started or some shit, and I had absolutely no intention of being friends with Tonka or having a professional working relationship with him once I achieve some sub count number, like shady shit like that, to where it's like you don't necessarily hate this person, but they're not hanging around you or trying to interact with you for the right reasons. And I feel like that's going to be one of those things that's going to cause a lot of drama and friction between a lot of, quote unquote communities. And I don't see it ending well, but at the same time, these people can do what they want. It's their platform, it's their channels. Another trend is not to get drama started or anything else, but there's a lot of people in every community. Like I said earlier, 99% of all of these communities are fucking awesome and really cool people, but that 1%, they're very vocal and they're very shitty. And they will try to stir up as much beef, as much drama, as much bullshit as they possibly can, and then sit back and watch friends turn against one another or whatever. And I feel like that's really fucked up, and it's really slimy and shady to do. And
and I'll say this: I was a part of a big event recently, and there was a shit ton of people who wanted to be dick riders, and even more people who wanted to get that shine off of bigger YouTube celebs, and it literally made me sick because I had every opportunity and license to go into business for myself. And I'm like, well, no, that's not what this stream is about. We, it's about A, it's not about B, which is you. So cut your shit. If you don't want to be here, then you don't have to be here. You cannot dick ride, or even be more blunt, you can't be a star fucker.
Yeah, dude. I mean, don't get me wrong, dude. I'm sincerely thankful for the people that invite me to their live streams, whether it's you or Tonka or Blackout and Diddy or Failure or Vamp or AP and Ghastly or any of the people that want to include me in their live streams or their interactions or whatever. But at the same time, like, don't get it twisted. Like, if any one of these people tried to lie about me or say some dumb shit about me or anything else, I would go at them with razor blades and lemon juice the same way I would do with anybody who's trying to say dumb shit about me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't do this shit for a living. I am not beholden to Twitter or YouTube. I've mentioned this several times. I could nuke my Twitter, nuke my fucking channel, start all over, get an entirely new Google account, and it would suck not to watch content and be able to type in the live chat and be like, hey, you guys know me. I'm Tennessee Marine. Love the show. Good, stream today or whatever. But honestly, the amount of notoriety or the way I'm notorious, I guess, on certain streams and in certain communities or whatever, like, I could lose all that shit tomorrow. And, it's not going to bother me that much. It's going to suck that, I'm not able to interact with the incredible amount of awesome people that I've met. But the whole idea that, I'm going to lose attention, it ain't going to bother me. I don't do this shit for attention. I do it because I care about bringing entertainment and honesty to a stream. And I care about trying to help people that I have mutual respect for. And at the end of the day, that's it. But being of, this whole idea that, just because I've talked about Tonka or Failure or Vamp or AP and Ghastly or Blackout and Diddy or Optic and Broski or you, the fact that I've, said nice things about these people, there will be people who talk about me being a fucking dick rider or some shit like that, simply because I've said nice things. And it's one of those things, like, you don't realize the amount of off-air hangouts and talks that I've had with these people that I've actually realized, like, these are all genuinely good people at the end of the day. Regardless of what you think or what your current held viewpoint about these people are, I've interacted with them well enough to know that even though they're not perfect, even though they make mistakes just the same way as anybody else, at the end of the day, I really do believe they genuinely care about what they're doing, and they're trying to just simply be entertaining and honest with people. And if that makes me a dick rider simply because I can see the goodness in people that I have mutual respect for, well, then go fuck yourself.
All right. And I mean, it's IRL treating people on the internet. I don't feel like I need to have kid gloves with hurting my feelings with people on the internet. If you fucking wrong me, I will step up to you and say, what the hell is this? If you back away, run away, or refuse to talk about it, then okay, I know I can scratch you off as someone that I want to actually hold a real conversation with.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, regardless of whatever drama I've been involved with throughout my time on YouTube and Twitter, I've literally never once lost anyone whose opinion I ever really truly gave a fuck about, to be honest. The only people that have ever disliked me or had shit to say against me, they're nothing to me. Like, their opinions don't mean shit to me. They never really cared about me in the first place, or actually gave a fuck about my opinion in the first place. And whatever drama or bullshit I've found myself in, the people that I've always respected have yet to lose respect for me. Because even though I do fuck up, I do dumb shit occasionally, I'm man enough to admit it, and I'm man enough to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, I fucked up, dude. My bad. I shouldn't have been, drunk on your live stream, plastered to the point of no, of no cognitive, thought or anything else. Like, I didn't even know what world I was in. I was so drunk. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, well, I love Diddy too. She's a sweetheart of a girl. She really is. That's one of the, well, not one of the very few people, but one of the people I can 100% guarantee that girl's gonna do something with her life. She really is.
I agree. By the way, BTK is saying, "Hey, gorgeous Mr. Marine Man."
hey, Kayla. What's good?
Now, I know we're coming up to the top of the hour. Is there anything that we've missed that you would like to address?
I don't know, man. At the end of the day, I kind of feel like you should be an honest person and a decent person. And, even though we're all somewhat anonymous, random people on the internet, it doesn't hurt to try to be somewhat nicer to people. That is not, bitch made. That's not being a cuck. That's not being any other little goofy fucking thing you want to, term you want to apply it to. It's just simply, it makes things work better and function better. I mean, don't get me wrong, troll away, shit post away. That's one of the great things about the internet. We can all do that. But I kind of feel like people don't have to get, personally invested in other people's drama or other people's squabbles. And at the same time, there's nothing wrong with defending yourself if you know that you've been lied about or mistreated, if you will. But, at the end of the day, I want to make jokes. I want to make people entertain. I want to make people laugh. And if I can make people who I have mutual respect for money and help build their audience and help expand these people's channels and get in more people who enjoy the same kind of content that I do, and yeah, dude, I want to see this shit grow. Like, I want to see Gulf City cartoons be a thing. I want to see those guys make it. I want to see Tonka have a bigger podcast with Failure. I want to see people like Optic and Broski and Diddy and Blackout do amazing art streams where they sit there and shoot the shit. And I want to see you interview all these fucking cool people that whose content I watch, who I enjoy, and also people I would have never thought that I would even like to listen and set them talk about stuff, but I do. Yeah.
So, for our audience right now, what's the one thing that you want them, the impression that you want them to walk away with?
At the end of the day, we're all in this tiny little corner of YouTube. People, for the most part, are genuine, especially on this side of YouTube. For the most part, there's a few people who are full of shit, and I'm 100% certain that eventually they will be exposed for what they are. But 99% of the people who are either in the live chat or the people who do streams are doing so from a place of wanting to entertain and wanting to make something significant. And I do feel like that's worthy to support that, and you should do so if you're able to, even if it's just liking the stream and sharing it out on Facebook and Twitter or wherever. I think we have something incredible here between art streams and interviews and the Kumite and Gulf City cartoons and things like that. And me personally, I want to see this expand and get better and more significant and everything else, because I find a lot of value in it, both as a person who has interacted with these people and as a person who is in the live chat, most of the time, sitting there talking with you fine people. So, at the end of the day, have fun, help push people who actually deserve the push, and, have a laugh, have a goof, but just have fun.
Well, I couldn't have said it better, because I do believe that chat is the lifeblood. I mean, it doesn't make a difference whether or not you give any money to the people that you watch. I mean, it does help them, but showing up, being able to express your opinions, being able to interact, that is one of the things that is a very underrated facet of the whole YouTube setup. Literally, we do care what you're saying, and we do try to interact, and we do want to make sure that you are actually an important cog in the wheel of the machine that makes us run. And I can't think of anything better than being able to receive the feedback almost instantaneously about what we're doing and about what we are going to be doing.
Yep.
I do encourage everyone, please make sure that you are looking up Tennessee on his Twitter.
Please don't do that hero worship shit, please. At the end of the day, I'm just a dude with a microphone who doesn't mind talking on streams, and I am no different. And guess what? Here's a little secret, people in the chat. All these content creators, they're people too, with a microphone, an internet connection, and a webcam. They're no different. Like, you don't need to do hero worship. Support your content creators, support your artists 100%. But at the end of the day, nobody would be anything without the chat. So
yeah, I mean, if you're going to create something, flex your pecs, have your passion, make the effort, and
be genuine. Don't be fake.
Be committed to what you're doing. Believe in it. Of course, also, we do have the please sub to these channels now in the description. I do have my Twitter up, and I do encourage everybody who has any questions. I'm always open to answer. And if you have any type of suggestion as far as who would you like to hear me interview, I have an average size cock, but my balls are huge. I will ask anybody. So,
Damn it, Doc. Shit. You about made me choke on my fucking cigarette. God
yeah.
Shit. Yeah, not to interrupt your spill, but me personally, I really want everyone, if you watch this live stream, if you ever come upon this when it's uploaded and everything else, please go sub to Blackout. He does an amazing art stream with his co-host Diddy. They are both genuine, awesome fucking people. They are criminally undersubbed, and I got to put my little bro over. I got to put him over. So please, if you're a fan of me, whatever the fuck that means, or if you respect my 2 cents whatsoever, on my word, I promise you, you will enjoy their live streams. He's a great fucking dude, and so is Diddy. They're both amazing fucking people, and they're insanely talented artists. And they have a great show. They have a great stream. So that's my personal recommendation. But everybody in that description, good fucking people. So go sub to them. But I got to help my little bro out a little bit. You know what I mean?
And he literally should have double the amount of subs that I have. So if you're subbed to me and you like what I'm doing, then for God's sakes, drop over, check out Blackout by Dawn, because they are amazing. They're entertaining. And I think you're going to be surprised not only by the beauty of the art that they put out, but just by that repartee that they have between each other, and the care that they pay to their actual audience.
Mm-hmm. And also, by the way, not to cut you off again there, Doc, but I know you probably won't say this, so I'm going to shill for you. Doc does have a Streamlabs, I do believe. Let me scroll down in the description. Oh, yeah, there it is. DocGriffon Streamlabs. I know he personally won't shield for himself this much because he's a very humble man. But if you enjoy these interviews and you enjoy the awesome interviewer that DocGriffon is, please, if you got the money, you got a couple extra bucks lying around, you didn't buy as many beers or you didn't smoke as many cigarettes this month, throw your man a couple of shekels. Throw him a couple of bucks. Help him out.
I appreciate that. I won't lie. We made up the Streamlabs and the Patreon when I was still doing the Rolling with Sisyphus thing to see if it works. And they just asked me to slap it on. I have been slapping it on. If you actually want to get your value back and I get $2 out of it, I do actually sell the best bootleg Mr. Medicare merchandise. So if you want to check out the TeePublic. But yeah, I think we can draw this all together by saying that it's not just the content providers, but the people that provide the entertainment for everybody who is on the web. There are a million content providers, and there are even more times 100 of people who watch. The most critical, the most important thing is that the things that you like, the things that make you laugh, the things that make you tear up, the things that make your heart swell 3 times the size that day, you share with your friends, you share with your family, you get this out and let people know, because the only way that content providers like myself continue is the fact that people show up, they'll bother to watch, they'll take their time, their very valuable, very precious time to share what they like, what they love with everyone else. And that's what keeps us going as content providers. We're not being mundane about it. We don't need a superficial amount of clicks. We just need to know that there are people out there who like what we're doing and who'll bother to tune in to listen to what we're doing, because when it comes down to it, we're doing it all for those people that want to tune in, that want to be entertained, that don't want the same thing over and over and over again. The people that really have an interest in things that are interesting. And that's why I love to share my conversations with everyone out there. So I would certainly like to go ahead and give Tennessee Marine the floor here before I wrap up. It is all yours, my friend. Thank you for a wonderful interview. And please, whatever you would like to share with the rest of the audience.
Well, first and foremost, thanks for setting this up, Doc. I always enjoy our conversations, whether they're live or in private. As I said earlier, I like the cut of your jib, man. You're good people, and I can sit and talk to you for hours. I guess the only thing I would like to leave the audience with is be thankful for what you got. There's people out there who have it way worse than you, and when it comes to YouTube and e-celebs and communities and the chat and everything else, even if you think someone's just a anonymous name and a screen name, they're people too. And I'm not saying to take shit, obviously take no shit from anybody, but we got something good here. And the thing with communities and fandoms and everything else is that sometimes it can get stupid and petty and get into little cliques and all that dumb shit. I hope it doesn't happen with the communities that we all share, and I sincerely don't believe it will. So tip your waitresses, don't break hearts, break headboards, and as always, fry power, motherfuckers.
I couldn't have said it better. The only thing I can do is shill here at the end and say thank you very much for coming out. I believe that the diagnosis is not critical. I believe that our guest tonight, even though it has been said that there has been post-traumatic stream drama, I believe that he has risen above, over and above. And I would invite everyone out to come see us next week. I'm very proud about this stream as well, where we'll be interviewing artist Jeff Butler. He's got an amazing trek from being a college dropout artist for TSR to being one of the lead animators for the games you like from DICE, like the Star Wars games, and of course, the Heretic series. And I don't know why this is happening, but I will also be interviewing on September 4th, Gerald Casale, who is one of the founding members of Devo 9/11. We've got Undoomed coming in. And of course, I'm very proud to announce that we also have on the 18th, Pony Trap showing up. We do these shows not only to keep my sanity, but to entertain everyone. We've got a little bit of everything for everyone. And I hope that you will interact with us, that you will tell me and all the other voices in my head that what I'm doing is something that you find value with by rating us, recommending us, and of course, letting us know who you want to hear from, because this is important. This means something to everyone that tunes in, because everyone is interesting in their own way and fascinating in their own way. And we need to be able to roll out that red carpet and let them be able to speak for themselves. So this is your doctor, Doc Griffin, thanking Tennessee Marine very much for coming out tonight, and also thanking the audience for making this a great show. And the doctor's office is closed.